Chapter 706. Days went by. 7777772776 6F6474772E636F60. Since Yi Chunfeng had rejected the veiled woman, Lu Mang did not allow his concubine to harass Yi Chunfeng anymore. Yi Chunfeng, who had a rare moment of peace, used his God-eater brain to deduce the heavenly demon ropes again and again. Gradually, he mastered this powerful Dao skill. Just as Yi Chunfeng was cultivating and deepening his understanding of the heavenly demon ropes, a loud vibration came from the ship, which awakened Yi Chunfeng from his cultivation. Young Master Feng, we're in trouble. Please help us." At this time, an anxious female voice sounded outside Yi Chunfeng's cabin. She was panicking and asking for help. "Don't panic. Come with me to the deck." Yi Chunfeng opened the door and led Lu Mang's concubine to the deck. They saw dozens of giant octopuses surrounding the ship. They waved their tentacles, which were hundreds of meters long, and slammed the ship's hard hull. Under the attack of the giant octopuses, the ship shook violently. Deep cracks appeared all over the ship's hull. Level 5 Heavenly Beasts. Yi Chunfeng glanced at the giant octopuses, which were emitting a fierce aura. He found that they were all Level 5 Heavenly Beasts. In the sea, they were comparable to Level 4 Defiant Beast Kings. "Young Master Feng, I don't know if you can help us deal with these giant octopuses. If they continue attacking, our ship will sink," Lu Mang said anxiously as he looked at the dozens of blood-red eyes of the giant octopuses that were attacking in a frenzy. "Don't panic. Leave them to me." Yi Chunfeng was looking for an opportunity to deepen his understanding of the heavenly demon rope. These giant octopuses delivered themselves to him. Without thinking, he agreed. Whoosh! An ear-piercing sound rang out as Yi Chunfeng's figure flickered. He summoned the golden rock wings and flew above the violently tumbling sea. The soul power in his body quickly merged with the Tao of Death, as he attempted to condense the heavenly demon rope for the first time. Sensing the terrifying aura emanating from Yi Chunfeng's body, the giant octopus that was waving its tentacles and attacking with all its might smelled a thick scent of danger. It decisively gave up on attacking the cruise ship and controlled its tentacles that were covered in suction cups to wrap around Yi Chunfeng. Under the attack of hundreds of thick tentacles, Yi Chunfeng instantly lost the space to dodge. A large amount of suction force was released from the tentacles and attacked Yi Chunfeng. "Husband, you said that young Master Feng would be fine." A tall, beautiful woman with heavy makeup on her face and a mature charm from head to toe saw Yi Chunfeng being swallowed by the octopus tentacles and immediately became nervous. It could be said that Yi Chunfeng was their only savior, their only hope. Once something happened to him, only death would await them. "Don't worry. Young Master Feng can summon the heavenly thunder. He will definitely be able to repel these giant octopuses." Lu Mang spoke casually, but he was restless in his heart. He kept praying for Yi Chunfeng. Heavenly demon rope. Yi Chunfeng ignored the suction force from the tentacles and the attacks from the tentacles. He quickly condensed a heavenly demon rope that was as thick as a child's arm. It was pitch black and contained the Tao of Death. It revolved around his body and attacked the octopus tentacles. Chi. Under the attack of the heavenly demon rope, the densely packed octopus tentacles were torn apart without any suspense. A large amount of blood and viscous liquid splashed out. The giant octopuses were in so much pain that they let out ear-piercing screams. Break! With a thought from Yi Chunfeng, the heavenly demon rope was like a black flood dragon. It directly pierced through the prison formed by hundreds of octopus tentacles. It wrapped around a giant octopus and strangled it to death. Seeing their companion killed, these giant octopuses with an extremely strong desire to kill fell into a frenzy. They desperately waved their broken tentacles and attacked Yi Chunfeng. They wanted to tear him apart and devour his flesh and blood. Heavenly demon rope. A large number of giant octopuses attacked. Yi Chunfeng didn't dodge. He allowed the tentacles to attack his body with millions of pounds of force as he continued to condense the heavenly demon rope. As Yi Chunfeng had just comprehended the heavenly demon rope, he was still unfamiliar with it. His execution speed was very slow. However, every time he condensed a heavenly demon rope, he could bind a giant octopus to death. "Husband, what is young Master Feng doing?" Seeing Yi Chunfeng flying in the air and slowly condensing the heavenly demon rope, Lu Mang's beautiful wives all revealed astonished expressions and asked in puzzlement. "This young Master Feng seems to be practicing," Lu Mang said with a bitter smile. However, his hanging heart was relieved. Yi Chunfeng dared to ignore the giant octopuses to practice. It was enough to show that he didn't care about these giant octopuses. Killing them was only a matter of time. As Yi Chunfeng condensed more and more heavenly demon ghost ropes, his speed became faster and faster. Gradually, he was able to condense 2 heavenly demon ghost ropes at a time, which sped up the speed of killing the giant octopuses. After about an incense stick's worth of time, the several dozen giant octopuses had been completely slaughtered by Yi Chunfeng's sky demon rope. A large amount of blood seeped into the surging waves of the sea, dyeing the blue seawater blood red. Collect. After killing dozens of giant octopuses, Yi Chunfeng immediately released thousands of soul strands into the sea that was dyed red with blood. He collected dozens of monster cores and put more than 10 complete monster hearts into the universe mirror, giving them to the space swallower to devour. "Let's go. Let's continue sailing." Yi Chunfeng's body flashed and appeared on the deck. He said with a relaxed expression, "Young Master Feng, what realm are you at?" Seeing Yi Chunfeng's shocking strength and means, Lu Mang asked with a face full of admiration. As for his 6 concubines, the way they looked at Yi Chunfeng had also changed greatly. There were even a few bold and unrestrained women who secretly threw flirtatious glances at the delicate and handsome Yi Chunfeng. "Reverse Beast King Realm," Yi Chunfeng said vaguely. He didn't tell Lu Mang his real realm. Seeing that Yi Chunfeng didn't want to say more, Lu Mang didn't continue to ask. "Young Master Feng, according to the current speed, it will take 3 days to reach the Immortal Island. If young Master Feng is bored at night, I can ask my concubines to serve young Master Feng well and give you some fun," Lu Mang said generously with a dubious smile. "Thank you for your kindness, but I need to cultivate. I don't need them to serve me." This was the first time Yi Chunfeng met such a generous person. However, Yi Chunfeng wasn't interested in her 6 gorgeously dressed concubines. He shook his head and tactfully refused. "Young Master Feng, you really don't want to think about it? They are all proficient in the 36 forms of acacia. I guarantee that you will feel like an immortal." In order to get closer to Yi Chunfeng, Lu Mang lowered his voice to a whisper and transmitted it into Yi Chunfeng's ears as he continued to encourage him. "No need." Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said, "Okay, I'm going back to my room to cultivate. If you encounter any danger, just call me." After Yi Chunfeng finished speaking, he turned around and left the deck under the disappointed gazes of the many pretty girls. He returned to the cabin and continued to practice the demonic heavenly demon ropes with the insights he gained from the battle earlier. Under Yi Chunfeng's protection, Lu Mang's ship moved forward rapidly. After about 10 days of sailing, they finally arrived at the sea area of the Immortal Island. From afar, they saw the Immortal Island surrounded by sea fog. 30/30709 Mobile Reading Site. Book Address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record your reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 707. We have finally arrived at the Immortal Island. I hope that this auction will not disappoint me. #Yen. Yi Chunfeng stood on the deck and looked into the distance. He saw that the Immortal Island was like an inland land. He couldn't see the end of the island. A large number of mountains stood on the island like coiling dragons. Between the interconnected mountains, several prosperous cities appeared. Young Master Feng, this immortal island is a paradise for us men. I guarantee that once you arrive on the island, you will be so happy that you will forget about home. Lu Meng, who was wearing gorgeous clothes and looked like a rich man, walked to Yi Chenfeng's side. He narrowed his eyes and revealed an ambiguous smile that only men could understand as he whispered. Lu Meng, who built this immortal island? To be able to build such a large island in the North Sea and attract experts from various continents to participate in the auction, it was enough to show that the background of this immortal island was not simple. I also don't know the true identity of the immortal island's owner. However, I heard that this person possesses remarkable abilities and is incomparably powerful. Even ordinary holy lands are not willing to provoke this person. Lu Meng told Yi Chenfeng everything he knew. Could it be that this immortal island is a hidden chess piece left by a great power in the North Sea? Yi Chenfeng muttered to himself as he guessed in his heart. Sailing into the immortal island's sea area, Yi Chenfeng occasionally encountered huge ships sailing towards the immortal island. Yi Chenfeng even discovered the East Sea Palace and the 9 Nether Mountains ships at the immortal island's harbor. He immediately became alert. Even the East Sea Palace and the 9 Nether Mountain from the eastern continent have sent people here. It seems like a great treasure will appear in this auction. Otherwise, these 2 holy lands would not send people here. Yi Chenfeng muttered to himself. He was very interested in the immortal island's auction this time. Let's go to the island. The ship slowly sailed into the harbor. Lu Meng held a dark golden invitation letter with a red cloud pattern on it. He walked down the ship and handed it over to the immortal island's guard at the harbor entrance. Without an invitation from the immortal island, ordinary people would not be able to enter the immortal island. On the other hand, Lu Meng had an invitation from the immortal island, and he also had 6 obedient and beautiful wives, which showed that he also had an extraordinary background. Following Lu Meng, Yi Chenfeng and his group followed an ancient road paved with cobblestones and slowly walked towards the center of the immortal island, the Drunken Dream City. It's so lively. What a big show. Yi Chenfeng walked into Dream Drunken City, which had a variety of architectural styles, pavilions, courtyards, and fiery red ancient trees. Yi Chenfeng found that there were all kinds of buildings here. There were shops, medicine shops, inns, restaurants, martial arenas, and many brothels. Although it was daytime, there were still a number of flirtatious women in revealing clothes shuttling back and forth between the brothels and the streets, casting flirtatious glances at the passing cultivators, attracting their attention and stirring their hearts. The 6 of you go to the inn in front to stay. I'll take young Master Feng around the immortal island. Lu Meng pointed to a very large and quiet inn in front of them. It was located in a garden and was decorated with large red lanterns. It was a very quiet inn and gave an irresistible order. Yes, husband. The 6 beautiful women obeyed Lu Meng's words and obediently left together. Young Master Feng, do you want to go to the brothel to play or the restaurant to sit? Lu Meng intimately hugged Yi Chenfeng's shoulder and asked enthusiastically. Let's go to the martial arena in front to take a look. Walking into Dream Drunken City, Yi Chenfeng felt that this place was not simple. He wanted to secretly inquire about it, so he suggested. Okay, then let's go to the martial arena. Lu Meng happily agreed and brought Yi Chenfeng to the ring-shaped martial arena that was not far away. It was emitting a strong murderous aura. As soon as he walked into the martial arena, Yi Chenfeng clearly felt that there was a kind of aura in the air that could make people go crazy. The blood in his body was slightly boiling. Thousands of spectators surrounded a square martial arena that was about 1 mu in size and had a lot of blood stains left on it. Looking at the 2 people in the arena who were not giving way to each other and fighting fiercely, the spectators in the stands screamed and shouted at the top of their lungs, falling into a frenzy. Young Master Feng, how do you feel here? Is all the blood in your body? Lu Meng squinted his eyes and asked. Obviously, he enjoyed the exciting atmosphere here. Well, it's not bad. Yi Chunfeng nodded and found 2 empty seats with Lu Meng. He released the soul in his mind and covered the entire martial arena to collect some important information. Suddenly, a scream rang out. A burly middle-aged man with thick hair and a sharp spear in his hand had his arm chopped off by his opponent, causing him to howl in pain. Just as he was about to open his mouth and admit defeat, his opponent, a tall and straight man with white hair and an expressionless face, suddenly attacked. The heavenly saber in his hand slashed vertically and chopped off his opponent's head. A large amount of blood spurted out like a fountain, instantly dyeing the blood-stained arena red. Looking at the bloody scene in front of them, a few charming young women sitting in the front row not only did not reveal a frightened expression, but instead shouted out in excitement. Among them, there were even bold and fierce women who took off their reserved outer clothes and waved the provocative belly band in their hands, cheering for the victors, causing waves of screams. Sigh, it seems like it's not going to work if I want to get some valuable information here. Yi Chunfeng patiently collected information in the noisy martial arena for several hours, but he did not obtain any valuable information, so he gave up helplessly. At this time, the sky gradually darkened. Under Lu Meng's suggestion, the 2 of them ate a simple meal and went to the busiest restaurant in dream-drunken city. Walking into the restaurant, Yi Chunfeng found that he seemed to have come to a new world. Passionate and exciting music, fragrant wine, and scantily clad beauties constantly stirred up the nerves of the cultivators present, causing them to be fascinated and crazy. In the empty space of the restaurant, many beautiful maids wearing thin short skirts, revealing their fair skin and slender legs, shuttled back and forth, serving the most delicious wine to the cultivators. While shuttling back and forth, there were constantly people reaching out to harass them, but they were already used to it. Not only were they not angry, but they responded with charming smiles. How is it, young Master Feng? I didn't lie to you, right? This dream-drunken city is definitely a man's paradise. Lu Meng's eyes flickered as he continued to search for prey, completely forgetting about his 6 beautiful wives. Not bad. Yi Chunfeng nodded, and the soul in his mind was once again released. Suddenly, his acute perception noticed a trace of abnormality, and when he looked over, he saw a woman in a tight black dress with dark violet hair casually draped on her shoulders. She wore light makeup on her face, and she was seductive yet didn't lose her spirit. She was elegantly drinking wine that was like fresh blood. Due to her aura being too strong like a queen, many people were secretly sizing her up, yet no one dared approach her. But she who was drinking wine in silence had undoubtedly become the center of attention. Lu Meng, I have something to do. You play by yourself. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Chunfeng controlled the illusory Dao insight to slightly change his appearance, and he took even steps as he slowly walked towards the seductive woman that was like poison and emitted boundless charm, and he arrived before her. 30/30709 Reading Site. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record, and you'll be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 708. The seductive woman, who was drinking alone, frowned slightly. She slowly raised her blurry eyes. When she saw Yi Chunfeng's handsome face, his eyes that were as deep as the ocean, and the sharp aura he emitted, her red lips that were stained with wine revealed an enchanting smile. Do you mind if I sit down? Yi Chunfeng asked in a gentle and refined manner as he looked at her charming face. He revealed a faint smile as he asked in a scholarly manner. What, do you want to hit on me? The seductive woman's mouth slightly raised, revealing a beautiful arc. She looked at Yi Chunfeng with blurry eyes and put down the wine cup in her hand and asked. Just chatting. Yi Chunfeng sat opposite the seductive woman and revealed a faint smile as he said, "You don't mean what you say." The seductive woman glanced at Yi Chunfeng charmingly and said in a seductive voice, "Since you've sat down, then drink with me. If you can make me happy, then perhaps all those little thoughts of yours can come true. Okay, let's drink." After saying that, Yi Chunfeng ordered a large amount of wine and started drinking with the seductive woman, who looked like a seductive spirit. "You came to the Immortal Island to participate in the auction, right?" After drinking with Yi Chunfeng, the seductive woman's eyes became even more blurry. She gently swirled the wine in her cup and looked straight at Yi Chunfeng and said, Yi Chunfeng nodded and said, "Miss should be from the Immortal Island." "Why do you think I am from the Immortal Island?" The seductive woman was startled and asked with a smile. "A feeling, a man's sixth sense," Yi Chunfeng said. He, a man, you can only be considered a little man at best." The seductive woman looked at Yi Chunfeng's handsome face and said in a teasing manner. After saying that, she laughed. Her laughter was very beautiful, and a pair of majestic peaks rose up and down. This caused the man who was secretly watching her to stare and swallow his saliva. "Do I look good?" Catching Yi Chunfeng's gaze, the seductive woman did not hide it. She slightly raised her twin peaks and asked in a somewhat licentious manner. "Nice." Yi Chunfeng nodded and said frankly, I found you to be a very interesting person. I'm starting to like you." Hearing Yi Chunfeng's reply, the seductive woman laughed like a blooming flower. Her licentious appearance caused Yi Chunfeng's imagination to run wild. "Little man, I'll give you a chance to evaluate me. If your evaluation is good, Big Sister will reward you," the seductive woman said without hesitation. "What reward?" Yi Chunfeng gulped down the wine in his cup and said with interest. "Wait until you make Big Sister happy, then I'll tell you." The seductive woman's lips were slightly red, and her cheeks were tender and beautiful as she spoke. "Actually, miss, you're just like the wine in this cup." Yi Chunfeng gently lifted the wine cup and swirled it as he spoke. "What do you mean?" "Take your time to savor it. The aftertaste is still there," Yi Chunfeng said with a smile. This is the first time I've heard such an interesting evaluation, but I like it." The seductive woman laughed and said. She took the wine cup in Yi Chunfeng's hand and drank it in one gulp. "Let's go and have a seat at my place." The seductive woman, who was drunk and exuding a fatal charm from head to toe, slowly stood up and took Yi Chunfeng's hand as she invited him. "Okay." Yi Chunfeng revealed an ambiguous smile. Under the envious gazes of the crowd, he left with the seductive woman. Seeing that Yi Chunfeng had actually persuaded the most beautiful and sexiest woman present to leave with her, Lu Mang, who was in the middle of a passionate conversation with a pretty woman, was full of admiration. "Little man, your strength is not bad. If Big Sister is not wrong, your strength should be at the 6th level of the Defiant Beast King realm." After leaving the noisy restaurant, the seductive woman's body was very close to Yi Chunfeng, as if she was going to hang on him. Her curvaceous body and plump bosom were constantly rubbing against Yi Chunfeng's arm. "But compared to you, I think I'm still a little lacking." Yi Chunfeng seemed to enjoy the feeling of this soft and fragrant jade. Looking at the seductive woman's side profile, he said as they walked, "You can feel my strength." The seductive woman looked at Yi Chunfeng with a smile, her big charming eyes shooting out a black light that was hard to detect. "I told you, my sixth sense is very accurate." "It's a man's sixth sense again." The seductive woman smiled charmingly and exhaled a fragrant breath of alcohol into Yi Chunfeng's ear. She said, "Now feel it. What do you want to do when I take you to my place?" "Do what you want to do, and what I want to do too." Yi Chunfeng looked at the seductive woman's mesmerized eyes and said teasingly, Little man, you're really lovable. Big Sister will definitely love you dearly tonight." The seductive woman hugged Yi Chunfeng even tighter. The intoxicating fragrance kept entering Yi Chunfeng's nose, teasing all the cells in his body. Such a beautiful night, such a comfortable sea breeze. Why don't we go to the seaside? Feeling that the seductive woman was getting more and more interested in him, Yi Chunfeng suddenly suggested. The seaside. The seductive woman licked her rosy lips and said with mesmerized eyes, I didn't expect you to have so many tricks. Let's go to the seaside. The night was getting darker. The surging waves of the sea were higher than the previous one, crashing against the reefs on the shore and splashing up endless water. Little man, I think this place is good. Let's take a rest under that rock. Stepping on the soft beach, the drunk seductive woman pointed at a huge rock in front of them and said, Okay. Yi Chunfeng nodded and released his spiritual perception. He did not discover any auras of living beings. So, he nodded. Little man, which continent do you come from? With such a vigorous life force in your body and the strength of a level 6 beast king, your identity should not be simple. Sitting on the shore, the seductive woman's whole body was completely attached to Yi Chunfeng. Her charming and slightly drunk eyes and the intoxicating charm of her body made her full of temptation. I come from the East Sea Palace. Yi Chunfeng said deliberately. East Sea Palace, you come from the #1 force in the eastern continent. The seductive woman's eyes lit up and she couldn't help licking her lips as if she wanted to eat Yi Chunfeng. What? Does my Eastern Sea Palace have any enmity with your immortal island? Yi Chunfeng looked at the divine light shining from the seductive woman's eyes and slowly asked. Your East Sea Palace is the owner of my immortal island. We can't wait to curry favor with you. How can we have a grudge against you? The seductive woman said charmingly. Is that true? Yi Chunfeng asked with a face full of doubt. Through the seductive woman's words, Yi Chunfeng was sure that she was from the Immortal Island, but he couldn't be sure whether the Immortal Island and the East Sea Palace had an unclear relationship. Sister will soon let you know how warm we are to the people of the East Sea Palace. Saying this, the seductive woman reached out to grab Yi Chunfeng's shoulder and wanted to press him down on the beach. Miss, what are you doing? Yi Chunfeng suddenly grabbed the seductive woman's smooth hand and said in a cold voice, What do you think I'm doing? The seductive woman licked her red lips and said, You made Sister very happy tonight. Sister naturally wants to reward you. Don't you want something to happen between us? Miss, you seem to be mistaken. I just want to chat with you. I don't want anything to happen between us. Yi Chunfeng refused. The seductive woman frowned slightly and said in a strange tone, You've aroused Sister's emotions, but you only want to chat. Yes, I've said it from the beginning. I just want to chat with you. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said to the seductive woman's slightly angry eyes, Little man, are you playing with me? The seductive woman looked at Yi Chunfeng's serious expression and her eyes revealed a fierce look. Strands of black demonic silk spread out from her voluptuous and hot body. If you think so, I can't do anything about it. However, I really won't have anything to do with the people of the demon race. Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile and said in a shocking tone. P.S. Book Group 836225554 WeChat public number. YLTY83 There are characters from all over the world in it. Mobile reading site. Book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 709. 22438111. Who the hell are you? Hearing Yi Chunfeng reveal her identity, the blurred look in the seductive woman's eyes instantly disappeared and was replaced by an awe-inspiring sharpness. $________________ little _____________. It doesn't matter who I am. What's important is that I didn't expect the devil race to be behind this immortal island. The God-Eater brain had devoured the soul of Devil Sage Cold Night, and Yi Chunfeng had his Tao spirit, so Yi Chunfeng was very sensitive to the devil race. When he saw the seductive woman for the first time, he noticed the devil chi hidden in her body. This was also the reason why Yi Chunfeng took the initiative to approach her and lure her out. Yi Chunfeng wanted to find out the origin of this immortal island through her, and even more, he wanted to know what the devil race was planning to build this immortal island. "It seems that you deliberately lured me here," the seductive woman said gloomily, but there was no trace of panic in her heart. She believed that with her strength, she could kill Yi Chunfeng effortlessly. "Do you really think I'm interested in you?" Yi Chunfeng smiled slightly, looking at the seductive woman's increasingly gloomy face, and said playfully, "Boy, I swear I'll pull out your tongue and make you beg for death." The seductive woman was completely enraged. Billowing devil chi emanated from her hot body, tearing the cold sea breeze and oppressing Yi Chunfeng. Fiend God bloodline ignition, fiend God body. Yi Chunfeng was afraid of alerting the experts on the island, so he instantly merged with the two-headed blood dragon king and transformed into a fiend god. He raised his strength to the limit and shattered the demonic aura released by the seductive woman. Then, he threw a punch at her. Boom! A thunderous sound rang out on the beach. The punch, with nearly 40 million pounds of force, smashed the seductive woman's attack like crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, and the punch blasted towards her towering chest. Not good. The seductive woman did not expect Yi Chunfeng to be so terrifying after transforming. She quickly summoned a rugged iron sheet to block in front of her, blocking Yi Chunfeng's destructive punch. A Taoist treasure fragment. When Yi Chunfeng felt the power coming from the iron sheet, he was immediately sure that it was a high-quality fragment of a Taoist treasure. He decisively summoned the vermilion bird cauldron to suppress the seductive woman. A Tao treasure. As soon as the vermilion bird furnace appeared, the seductive woman paled. She discovered that she had greatly underestimated Yi Chunfeng. Yi Chunfeng's hidden strength and methods had far surpassed her imagination. 3 absolutes of water, phantom shark water shadow. Crazy character. Just as the seductive woman was being attacked by the vermilion bird cauldron, Yi Chunfeng quickly used the #1 martial art of the East Sea Palace. Billowing soul power and Tao intent fused together, transforming into a ferocious shark that swayed in the void, tearing through the air as it bombarded her. True demonic seal. As the water phantom shark attacked, the seductive woman quickly twisted her hands and instantly condensed a blood-red demonic seal to resist the water phantom shark. After the attack was blocked, Yi Chunfeng spat a mouthful of blood into the vermilion bird cauldron, increasing the suppression power of the vermilion bird cauldron. He continuously used the 3 absolutes of water to aggravate her injuries. My immortal island and your East Sea Palace have always minded their own business. Why do you want to scheme against me? Unable to resist Yi Chunfeng's fierce attacks, the seductive woman quickly summoned a quasi-Taoist treasure-level black scissors to resist the suppression of the vermilion bird cauldron. She was angry out of humiliation and kept thinking of ways to escape. Since ancient times, humans and demons have never been on the same side. I don't know if it will cause a huge earthquake in the fighting spirit continent if I disclose the secret of the immortal island to the public. Yi Chunfeng said with a smile, continuing to control the vermilion bird cauldron to attack. The terrible suppression power completely suppressed the seductive woman, leaving her with no choice but to defend herself. True demon body. Unable to resist the attacks of the vermilion bird cauldron, the seductive woman used her final trump card. Her fiery body quickly swelled up, tearing apart her tight-fitting dress, revealing a very muscular body covered in black scales. Human, go to hell! After transforming into the true demon body, the seductive woman's strength increased greatly. She madly injected demonic power into the black scissors, resisting the black scissors, and launched a fatal counterattack at Yi Chunfeng. Emperor Heaven's Sword technique. When the seductive woman attacked with surging demonic aura, the mid-grade Tao artifact, Emperor Heaven's Sword, appeared in Yi Chunfeng's hand. A divine sword that was filled with Emperor's Qi slashed down. The sword that was filled with the will of the great Tao and nearly 40 million kilograms of force tore apart the seductive woman's attack and ruthlessly slashed her demonic body. Qi. Large amounts of black blood spurted out. After receiving a fatal blow from the Emperor Heaven's sword, the seductive woman's right arm was chopped off, causing her to howl in pain. Scarlet Thunder Pearl. As the seductive woman howled in pain, Yi Chunfeng shot out the Scarlet Thunder Pearl again, shooting it into her mouth. It released an extremely destructive death thunder that penetrated her body and destroyed her internal organs. Large amounts of demonic blood spurted out uncontrollably from her body. Demonic escape. The seductive woman, whose life was hanging by a thread, burned her demonic blood without hesitation and wanted to use demonic escape to escape. However, at this moment, the vermilion bird cauldron, which was releasing endless flames, pressed down on her heavily injured body and pressed her down on the soft beach, unable to move. Human, if I die, everyone in your East Sea Palace will die with me. Legend of the Great Desert. The seductive woman struggled with all her might and warned loudly. Do you think my East Sea Palace will be afraid of your immortal island? God-Eater Brain, Soul Search. Yi Chunfeng was unmoved. He pressed his right hand on the top of her head and used the power of the God-Eater Brain to search her soul. He wanted to find out the secret of the immortal island through her. Bang! However, just as the power of the God-Eater Brain seeped into her soul, it triggered the restriction in her soul. Following that, her soul sea exploded and she died on the spot. The moment the seductive woman's soul self-detonated, in a heavily guarded ancient courtyard on the immortal island, a man with fiery red hair and a muscular upper body was soaked in a pool of blood. His body was shrouded in devil qi. He suddenly opened his eyes. Something happened to Fei. Who is so daring to kill my people on the immortal island? The red-haired man revealed a trace of anger and quickly left the blood pool. He put on his clothes and rushed to the beach where the seductive woman was killed with a few guards emitting dense killing intent. And soul restriction. Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly. He did not expect that there would be a restriction in the seductive woman's soul. It interrupted his soul search and made him fail at the last minute. After the soul search failed, Yi Chunfeng did not stay any longer. He took the black scissors, the fragments of the Taoist artifact, and the universal ring that she left behind and quickly left. Not long after Yi Chunfeng left, the red-haired man with a murderous aura appeared on the beach, which was emitting a faint smell of blood. He saw the seductive woman's corpse. Demonic soul spell, soul gather. Then, he used the demonic soul spell unique to the Devil Clan, trying to forcibly gather the seductive woman's soul that had not completely dispersed. However, Yi Chunfeng was already prepared. With the power of the God-Eater Brain, he had already erased the seductive woman's remnant soul. This made it impossible for him to gather the seductive woman's soul and obtain any valuable information. Don't let me find you. Otherwise, I will pull out your tendons, peel off your skin, and burn your bones to ashes. The red-haired man, who was burning with anger, gritted his teeth and said. The immortal island also became jittery because of the seductive woman's death. Mobile reading site, book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 710. 224381112. 2 Dao Artifact Fragments, a Quasi-Dao Artifact, 2 Low-Grade Heaven Crystals, and so many Soul Crystals. Tonight's harvest is not bad. After killing the seductive woman, Yi Chunfeng did not return to Dream-Drunken City immediately. Instead, he went deep into a mountain range with complicated terrain beside Dream-Drunken City. He planned to wait until dawn and everything settled down before returning to Dream-Drunken City to meet up with Lu Mang. As for his figure and appearance, Yi Chenfeng was not afraid of exposing himself. Under the influence of the illusion Dao insight, those people in the restaurant were unable to recognize his true appearance at all. Moreover, Yi Chenfeng guessed that the people of the Devil Clan would not dare to search for him with great fanfare. After all, a large-scale search would have an extremely bad influence. It was very likely that it would affect the upcoming auction and affect their wealth. Vermilion Bird Cauldron, refine. With a thought, Yi Chenfeng summoned the Vermilion Bird Cauldron, swallowed the 2 precious Dao artifact fragments, and quickly refined them. Once the Vermilion Bird Cauldron fused with these 2 Dao artifact fragments, its power would increase greatly. After storing the Vermilion Bird Cauldron into his body, Yi Chenfeng controlled the God-Eater brain to comprehend the 3 absolutes of water prohibition. He was prepared to use this set of high-grade Dao skill to frame the East Sea Palace at the appropriate time and stir up the situation even more. The night passed quickly. After a night of cultivation, Yi Chenfeng had a new understanding of the second move of the 3 absolutes of water prohibition, illusory flood dragon water shadow. However, it would still take some time to completely master it. Stepping on the morning sun, Yi Chenfeng returned to Dream-Drunken City. He had just arrived at the inn where Lu Mang lived when he bumped into Lu Mang, whose neck was covered with kiss marks and had a satisfied smile on his face as he hummed a little tune. "Young Master Feng, you're back. How was last night? Was it fun?" Lu Mang saw Yi Chenfeng from afar, and his eyes suddenly lit up. He walked over quickly and asked in a flirtatious manner. "We just drank and chatted last night. We did nothing else." Looking at the horrible kiss marks on Lu Mang's neck, Yi Chenfeng said somewhat helplessly, "With my decades of experience in love, you can't hide this kind of thing from me." Lu Mang said as if he was an expert. "That kind of beauty, that kind of figure, that kind of charm, young Master Feng, tell me honestly. Is that girl the type who grabs the railing and tears the bedsheets? Just thinking about it makes me *King excited. $___________________ small underscore 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 underscore. Yi Chenfeng was completely speechless at Lu Mang, whose head was filled with women. He had no choice but to change the topic. "Brother Lu Mang, I want to exchange something. Do you have any good recommendations?" "Of course," Lu Mang said. "There are still 3 days before the auction. At this time, the Immortal Island will organize some private trade fairs. However, it's a bit early. Let's find a place to eat before we go." "Alright." Yi Chenfeng nodded and followed Lu Mang to a restaurant with a booming business. He ordered a table of sumptuous delicacies and ate with relish. Crazy character. Around noon, Yi Chenfeng and Lu Mang left the restaurant and arrived at the west side of Mengzue City. They arrived at a magnificent pavilion filled with powerful restrictions. Lu Mang showed his invitation letter and easily led Yi Chenfeng into the Golden Pavilion. This is the largest private trade fair in Mengzue City. However, private trades are usually barter. There are very few people who bid to buy. Lu Mang introduced with familiarity. "Brother Lu Mang, you are very familiar with this immortal island?" Yi Chenfeng asked with a deep meaning. "To be honest, I am in the maritime trade business, so I have some business dealings with this immortal island," Lu Mang said frankly, and led Yi Chenfeng to an extremely luxurious trading hall. "Young Master Feng, what do you think of the girl at the door?" Lu Mang narrowed his small eyes and pointed at a tall, long-legged, snow-white-skinned woman wearing a white lotus-root cheongsam. Her figure was curvaceous, and her every frown and smile was very charming. "Very good." Yi Chenfeng followed Lu Mang's finger and saw the beautiful cheongsam woman. He nodded and said, "The last time I was here, I spent 5 million mid-grade soul crystals on her for a night. Now that I think about it, I still remember that feeling," Lu Mang said with a wretched look. Yi Chenfeng. Just as Lu Mang walked forward and wanted to continue flirting with the cheongsam woman, he suddenly saw a young woman wearing a pink dress. Her hair was full of hair, and her body was as thick as a bucket. Her neck was full of fat, and her eyes were very small. She was like a meat bun piled up on an armchair, and was constantly stuffing grapes into her mouth. Lu Mang's eyes lit up and he immediately went to greet her. "Young miss, long time no see. I didn't expect to see you here," Lu Mang said with a charming smile. "Yes, Lu Mang. We haven't seen each other for 4 years." The fat woman narrowed her small eyes and said. When she saw Yi Chunfeng behind Lu Mang, her small round eyes revealed a hint of a different meaning. "Lu Mang, who is he?" The fat woman stretched out her plump hand and pointed at Yi Chunfeng behind Lu Mang, and asked with interest. "He is my friend, Feng Chen. He wanted to trade something in advance, so I brought him here." "Young Master Feng, this is the daughter of Immortal Island's owner, Zhen Mimi. She is in charge of this private trade fair." Lu Mang introduced them. Zhen Mimi. Hearing the fat woman's name, Yi Chunfeng was speechless. From head to toe, he couldn't find a trace of beauty in her. "What do you want to trade?" "I will trade with you." Zhen Mimi stuffed 3 grapes into her mouth and stared straight at Yi Chunfeng's handsome face as she asked. "I want to trade life spiritual items, fragments of Tao treasures, or some rare spiritual items of heaven and earth." Yi Chunfeng said all the things he wanted to trade. Legend of the Great Desert. "The things you want to trade are all valuable. What do you have to trade with me?" Zhen Mimi spat out a few grape seeds and asked lazily. "Supreme grade heaven artifacts and heaven treasures." Yi Chunfeng took out the supreme grade heaven spear that he obtained from killing Yu Zhongtian and the Snake Valley's treasure, the snake spear. "I didn't expect you to have so many good things," Zhen Mimi said with some surprise. "I don't have any life spiritual items, but I can trade Tao treasure fragments and spiritual items of heaven and earth with you. However, I want to add an additional condition." "What condition?" Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly and asked. "Come to my place tonight and accompany me for a night. I will trade the Tao treasure fragments and 3 stalks of heaven-rank spiritual herbs to you." Zhen Mimi said shamelessly. "I can't agree to this condition of yours." Looking at Zhen Mimi's fat body and oily face, Yi Chunfeng was disgusted and rejected her without hesitation. "Why? Are you looking down on me? Let me tell you, it is your fortune that this lady has taken a liking to you. Don't be so shameless." Zhen Mimi smashed the square table at the side with a slap and scolded arrogantly. "Buzz." Just as Zhen Mimi finished speaking, a murderous aura of blood and bones poured out from Yi Chunfeng's body. He locked onto the shameless Zhen Mimi and said coldly, "Don't force me to kill you. Otherwise you will regret it." "You!" Zhen Mimi had never suffered such humiliation before. She suppressed the fear in her heart and was about to roar loudly. "I don't like to repeat myself. If you don't believe me, you can try. I guarantee that you won't live to see the sun tomorrow." Yi Chunfeng's eyes flashed with a murderous aura as he looked at Zhen Mimi's ugly face and said coldly. Looking at the murderous aura in Yi Chunfeng's eyes, Zhen Mimi had a feeling that he really dared to kill her. For a moment she was shocked. All the insults were stuck in her throat and she couldn't say anything. After shocking Zhen Mimi, Yi Chunfeng thought of the secret of the Immortal Island and forcibly resisted the urge to kill her. He didn't stay here for long and turned to leave. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Collect button at the bottom to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 711. 22438113. Lu Mang, who is he? After Yi Chunfeng left, Zhen Mimi, who had a lot of cold sweat on her forehead, came back to her senses. She suddenly jumped up from the chair and said angrily out of humiliation, He's a friend that I'm not very familiar with." Lu Mang didn't expect such an unforeseen event even in his dreams, so he said with a guilty conscience, "A friend that I'm not very familiar with." Zhenmimi obviously didn't believe Lu Mang's words. She said coldly, "I don't care what method you use. Before you leave the immortal island, you must get him on my bed. Otherwise, I won't be courteous to you." "Miss, please calm down. I'll go and persuade him again." Lu Mang knew how powerful and domineering Zhenmimi was. He used his sleeve to wipe the sweat on his forehead and left in a sorry state. "No matter who you are, if you dare to offend me, I'll make you beg for death." Zhenmimi's round eyes emitted a demonic light as she swore in her heart. Yi Chunfeng held back his killing intent and left the private trade fair. He didn't find a place to rest, nor did he take Zhenmimi's threat to heart. He was going to stroll around the treasure pavilion in Mingzue City. As he walked, he unexpectedly saw 3 men wearing aqua-blue martial arts clothes embroidered with the word Sea. People from the East Sea Palace. Looking at the 3 East Sea Palace experts in front of him, Yi Chunfeng hesitated for a moment before following them. He followed them to the center of Mingzue City, a very noisy treasure pavilion called the Treasure Sky Pavilion. When he walked into the Treasure Sky Pavilion, a woman wearing a tight black chong sam walked over with a burst of fragrance. She was like a peach and had a mature charm. She said very enthusiastically, "Young master, may I know what you want to buy? Let me take a look at your treasure." Yi Chunfeng glanced at the 3 East Sea Palace experts who were accompanied by beautiful women and said in a rich and overbearing manner, "All right, young master, please follow me." The woman in the chong sam put on a charming smile. She swayed her sexy waist and brought Yi Chunfeng to a small house that was separated by an antique fence. She poured him a cup of tea that was emitting wisps of spiritual energy and handed him a jade chip. "My treasure heaven pavilion has a total of 10 ultimate treasures. But besides needing to pay a certain amount of mid-grade soul crystals, these 10 treasures must be exchanged with treasures." The Chong Sam woman gracefully sat opposite Yi Chunfeng, crossed her slender legs, and said in a relaxed manner, "All right." Yi Chunfeng wasn't surprised by these transaction rules, and he nodded before releasing his soul force to permeate into the jade slip before looking through the 10 ultimate treasures of the Treasure Heaven Pavilion. However, most of these 10 treasures were high-grade heaven artifacts, and there were even 2 sets of low-grade Dao skills, but to Yi Chunfeng, they were not attractive at all. Instead, one of the earth-wood Dao fruits aroused Yi Chunfeng's interest. "Crazy character. I wonder what the price of this earth-wood Dao fruit is?" Even though Yi Chunfeng was clearly aware that the Dao insight contained within this Dao fruit was extremely shallow and at most contained a few Dao markings, he still decided to purchase it if the price was suitable. "This earth-wood Dao fruit was purchased by my Treasure Heaven Pavilion at a great price. If young master wants to buy it, then besides paying 100 million mid-grade soul crystals, you need to take out a treasure of similar value to exchange for it." The woman in the Chong Sam spoke gracefully. "I wonder if this high-grade heaven artifact and 100 million mid-grade soul crystals can be exchanged for this earth-wood Dao fruit." Yi Chunfeng took out a useless high-grade heaven artifact and asked, "Young master, wait a moment. I need to appraise this high-grade heaven artifact of yours first," the woman in the Chong Sam said in a light voice. "Sure." Yi Chunfeng passed the high-grade heaven artifact to the woman in the Chong Sam and drank spirit tea as he waited. "Young master, the quality of this high-grade heaven artifact is extremely high, and it can be used to exchange for this earth-wood Dao fruit." After carefully appraising the high-grade heaven artifact, the woman in the Chong Sam revealed a satisfied smile and spoke softly. "All right, here are 100 million mid-grade soul crystals." Yi Chunfeng nodded and took out a universe ring with 100 million mid-grade soul crystals and handed it to the woman in the Chong Sam to use to purchase the earth-wood Dao fruit. "Wait, who allowed you to sell the earth-wood Dao fruit to him?" Right at this moment, an arrogant and overbearing voice sounded out within the clamorous Treasure Heaven Pavilion. Zhenmimi, who had a plump figure that was like a meat bun, brought along 2 experts from the Immortal Island as they appeared in the Treasure Heaven Pavilion in a threatening manner. young miss. Seeing Jinmimi appear, the woman in the cheongsam didn't dare to be negligent. She immediately stood up and bowed respectfully. Bitch, get out of my way! Jinmimi scolded mercilessly. She raised her fat head and brought the two Immortal Island experts to Yi Chunfeng with her head held high. After offending me, you still want to buy things from Immortal Island? Jinmimi narrowed her small round eyes and said arrogantly and overbearingly. What big words! Could it be that your Immortal Island invited us here, and you treat us with such an attitude? Although Yi Chunfeng didn't want to cause trouble before the auction started, it didn't mean that he would swallow his anger. Looking at the aggressive Jinmimi, Yi Chunfeng's heart was filled with dense killing intent. Kid, you don't have to provoke others. If you don't give me a satisfactory answer today, I won't let you go. Jinmimi, who had something to rely on, ignored the surrounding crowd and said rudely. Just when Yi Chunfeng couldn't help but want to make a move, he suddenly noticed that 3 East Sea Palace experts had appeared in the crowd and were looking at him mockingly. Immediately, a plan came to his mind. The 3 of you, this ugly bastard is bullying me. Can you help me? Yi Chunfeng appeared in front of one of the East Sea Palace experts with a stride. Before he could refuse, 50 illusion Dao insights shot out from his eyes and penetrated into his eyes, causing a large number of illusions to appear in front of him and confuse his soul consciousness. Record of Chaos, special ability. Go, teach her a lesson for me. With the help of the 5th heaven of the illusion Dao insights, Yi Chunfeng temporarily controlled this level 4 defiant beast king expert of the East Sea Palace. He gave him an order that didn't allow him to refuse. Upon receiving Yi Chunfeng's order, this East Sea Palace expert whose mind was being controlled rushed out without hesitation. He raised his right hand and slapped Jinmimi's chubby face. Slap! The crisp sound of a slap rang out, and a fiery palm print appeared on Jinmimi's chubby face. Then, he used Black Tiger Steel's heart and grabbed Jinmimi's dangling peak. The immense force from his fingertips caused Jinmimi's eyes to almost pop out of their sockets. Seeing the scene before them, everyone was dumbfounded. Go, both of you, teach her a lesson. Just as everyone was dumbfounded, Yi Chunfeng's deep eyes continuously shot out illusions of the will of the way, forcefully confusing the other 2 East Sea Palace cultivators and ordering them to attack Jinmimi together. Stop, both of you stop. The 2 guards who came back to their senses saw Jinmimi's peaks being grabbed and wailing in pain. They roared angrily and immediately attacked, fighting with the 3 East Sea Palace experts. Instantly, the entire Treasure Heaven Pavilion fell into chaos. At this moment, Yi Chunfeng appeared in front of the pale cheongsam woman in a flash. He controlled the illusion Dao insights to penetrate her eyes and forcefully control her mind. Give me the earth wood Dao fruit. Yi Chunfeng ordered without any room for objection. The cheongsam woman wasn't a member of the devil race and her strength wasn't strong, so she was utterly unable to resist the corrosion of the illusion Dao insight. She obediently headed to the rear hall and obtained the extremely precious earth wood Dao fruit for Yi Chunfeng. Meanwhile, the 3 East Sea Palace experts had already been knocked to the ground by Jinmimi's guards. But amidst the chaos, they'd already asked for help from the East Sea Palace, and a few East Sea Palace experts were on the way. When he saw the situation becoming more and more chaotic, Yi Chunfeng, who'd smoothly obtained the earth wood Dao fruit, didn't stay for long. He moved back and forth in the clamorous crowd, and in next to no time, he left the Treasure Heaven Pavilion and vanished in the crowded street. Reading site, book address. For the sake of convenience for your next reading, you can click Collect at the bottom to record this reading record, and you'll be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 712. 22443555, Immortal Island. East Sea Palace. Should I make the situation more chaotic? After taking advantage of the chaos to leave the Heavenly Treasure Pavilion, Yi Chunfeng didn't look for a place to rest but instead controlled the illusory Dao insight to change his appearance at a deserted corner before heading towards the largest group of buildings in Dreamwine City that wasn't too far away from the Heavenly Treasure Pavilion, the Immortal Isle Auction Hall. Our Immortal Island Auction Hall isn't open to the public yet. Please come back 3 days later. An expressionless level 1 beast king guard stopped Yi Chunfeng and said emotionlessly. He was wearing black armor and holding a sharp robe in his hand. I'm here to sell a treasure for the auction in 3 days. Yi Chunfeng deliberately said in a hoarse voice so that no one could hear his real voice. Selling a treasure. Our Immortal Island Auction Hall doesn't accept ordinary treasures. At this time, an old man with white sideburns and an abnormally tall and sturdy figure wearing a black martial arts suit walked out of the auction hall. He sized up Yi Chunfeng a few times and said in a low voice, I wonder if you accept high-grade Dao skills? Yi Chunfeng placed his hands behind his back as he looked at the old man with the demonic qi hidden in his body. He was neither arrogant nor servile. High-grade Dao skills. The old man's eyes lit up and a trace of surprise appeared on his calm face. He looked at Yi Chunfeng with some suspicion and said, You want to auction a high-grade Dao skill? That's right. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said calmly, Please follow me. After confirming that Yi Chunfeng really wanted to sell a high-grade Dao skill, the old man led him into the auction hall that was abnormally heavily guarded and shrouded in a powerful restriction. What a big deal. The people of the Demon Clan must have spent a lot of effort and thought to build this auction hall. Walking into the auction hall, Yi Chunfeng saw exquisite pavilions and pavilions, quiet and beautiful gardens, and straight roads that were completely paved with white jade. It was noble and gorgeous. The core of the auction venue was the auction hall. It was covered with crisscrossed arches and yellow tiles, making it look like a golden palace. The front of the golden palace was lined with stone pillars, each of which was carved with a coiling dragon, giving off a strong visual impact. Walking along a white jade corridor, Yi Chunfeng followed the old man to an inner hall with richly ornamented beams and painted rafters. He saw a peerless woman who was appreciating treasures. When he saw the woman's face, Yi Chunfeng's eyes couldn't help but light up. The tight-fitting black Chong Sam accentuated her beautiful figure. Her delicate face was painted with a light pink color, and her lips were pink. Her seductive eyes were full of temptation. Her legs were hidden in the Chong Sam, but they were exposed from time to time. They were slender and sexy, exuding boundless charm. She was a male teacher of a female student. Miss, this young master wants to sell a high-grade Dao skill for the auction the day after tomorrow. The old man bowed slightly to the woman in the black Chong Sam and said in a respectful tone, High-grade Dao skill. The woman in the black Chong Sam's eyes lit up. She put down the things she was appreciating and looked at Yi Chunfeng with a gentle gaze. She said in a pleasant voice, Young master, can you let me appreciate the high-grade Dao skill you are going to auction? Of course. Yi Chunfeng looked at the woman in the black Chong Sam, who was even more charming than the seductive woman he had killed last night. He took out the jade slip of the 3 ultimate water arts that he had carved with great effort with the help of the God-Eater brain and handed it to her. After receiving the jade slip from Yi Chunfeng, the woman in the black Chong Sam immediately released her soul to penetrate it and quickly browsed through it. Immediately after, a thick sense of shock and astonishment appeared on her stunning face. Are you sure you want to auction this high-grade Dao skill? The woman in the black Chong Sam raised her head slightly and looked straight at Yi Chunfeng as if she wanted to see through him. She said softly, If I am not mistaken, the high-grade Dao skill in this jade slip should be the treasure of the East Sea Palace, the first 2 moves of the 3 ultimate water arts. Miss, you have good eyesight. This is the first 2 moves of the 3 ultimate water arts. I wonder if you dare to auction it? Looking at the woman in the black Chong Sam's constantly changing expression, Yi Chunfeng nodded and asked in a hoarse voice, Young master, you are not afraid. Naturally, we are not afraid. The woman in the black cheongsam smiled sweetly and said, "As usual, after the auction, our immortal island will take 10% of the profits." "Okay, no problem." Yi Chunfeng didn't even think about it and agreed very happily. "Since young master has no objection, let's sign the auction contract. After signing the auction contract, we will pay young master a certain amount of deposit in advance." The woman in the black cheongsam took out 2 black crystal-like crystals and said, "Okay." Yi Chunfeng nodded and released his soul to penetrate the 2 black crystals. He signed the auction contract with the woman in the black cheongsam and left the cultivation jade slip of the 3 ultimate water arts to her. Although the 3 ultimate water arts is not complete and the last move is missing, it is after all the best martial arts of the East Sea Palace. We estimate that its auction price will not be lower than 10 billion mid-grade soul crystals. How about we pay you 5 billion mid-grade soul crystals first? The woman in the black cheongsam thought for a moment and said, "Okay, deal." Yi Chunfeng nodded and had no objection. "Young master, you are really straightforward." The woman in the black cheongsam showed a charming smile and elegantly took out a dark golden qianquan ring and said, "There are 5 billion mid-grade soul crystals in this ring. You can check it. I trust the reputation of the immortal island." Yi Chunfeng did not check the qianquan ring handed over by the woman in the black cheongsam. After taking the contract crystal, he left without any hesitation. "Young miss, should we send someone to investigate him? He shouldn't have any good intentions by publicly auctioning the 3 ultimate water arts of the East Sea Palace." Record of Chaotic World 1 Special Ability. The old man's eyes revealed a stern look as he asked softly, "No need." The woman in the black cheongsam shook her head and said, "If I'm not wrong, this person has changed his appearance. Moreover, this person is not simple. Even if we send someone to follow him, they may not be able to follow him. As for the East Sea Palace, you don't have to worry. Even if they want to blame us, they should look for the seller and not us," the woman in the black cheongsam said wisely. Moreover, she had a selfish motive, which was to use her authority to comprehend the 3 ultimate water arts of the East Sea Palace in advance. Right at this moment, a man with a tall figure and dark green hair walked in, and after he bowed respectfully, he said, "Young miss, I just received news that a conflict has occurred between young Miss Zhen Mei and members of the Eastern Sea Palace in the Treasure Heaven Pavilion. That fat pig is causing trouble for me at this time again." The woman in the black cheongsam's seductive eyes revealed a stern look as she said angrily, "Pass down my order to the true island master. Tell him to discipline his daughter properly. If she causes trouble at this juncture, don't blame me for being impolite." "Yes, young miss." The green-haired woman obeyed. It was not difficult to see that the woman in the black cheongsam was the true controller of the immortal island from her irresistible order. After leaving the auction venue, Yi Chunfeng casually found an inn to stay in. He took out the earth-wood Dao fruit that he forcefully seized and swallowed it whole. With the help of the God-Eater Brain's deduction ability, he comprehended the Dao intent contained within the Dao fruit and waited for the auction to begin the day after tomorrow. After nearly 3 days of refining and comprehending, Yi Chunfeng completely absorbed the earth-wood Dao fruit. With the help of the God-Eater Brain, he comprehended 1 wood Dao pattern and 1 earth Dao pattern contained within the earth-wood Dao fruit. Phew, it's daybreak. I hope this auction won't disappoint me. Yi Chunfeng spat out a mouthful of turbid air and woke up from his cultivation. He looked at the faint light outside the window and muttered with some anticipation. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the bookmark below to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 713. 22443556. Early in the morning, the soft sunlight shone on Mengzue City. The golden light was very beautiful. Yi Chunfeng welcomed the soft sunlight and arrived at the luxuriously decorated auction hall. When he walked into the dazzling auction hall and found a remote corner to sit down, he immediately heard Lu Mang's voice. Seeing Yi Chunfeng from afar, Lu Mang immediately hugged the coquettish woman with heavy makeup who he had just hooked up with last night. She was tall and slender, and exuded a strong fragrance. She quickly walked over and sat beside him. "Young Master Feng, where have you been these few days?" Lu Mang asked with a charming smile. "Cultivating," Yi Chunfeng said calmly. "Young Master Feng, are you still angry with me?" "Actually, I really didn't expect that to happen," Lu Mang said apologetically. "It's all in the past." Yi Chunfeng couldn't figure out Lu Mang's background, so he didn't want to talk to him anymore. After exchanging a few pleasantries, he closed his eyes and waited in silence for the auction to begin. His cold and arrogant attitude made the coquettish woman beside Lu Mang extremely dissatisfied. As time passed, the empty auction hall was filled with people. Although East Sea Palace and Immortal Island had a conflict, they still sat at the front with the people from Nine Nether Mountain because of their superior status. Dong, a melodious bell sound rang out, and the noisy auction hall immediately quieted down. Countless gazes were cast towards the jade platform that was slowly rising. When everyone saw the beautiful figure standing on the jade platform, they all revealed a stunned expression. "It's her. I didn't expect her to personally host this auction." Yi Chunfeng looked at the lady in an elegant black silk dress. Her skin was as smooth as milk, and she had light makeup on her face. She was devastatingly beautiful, and every frown and smile of hers was captivating. Yi Chunfeng immediately recognized her. She was the lady in the black qipao whom he had seen that day. Stunner, stunner. I've never seen such a beautiful lady. Lu Mang's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he stared at the woman in the black dress on the jade platform. There were countless people like Lu Mang who were mesmerized by the peerless beauty of the woman in the black dress. It could be said that her appearance alone had added a lot of excitement to this auction. "Everyone, welcome to my Immortal Island to participate in this overseas auction. My name is Shui Hanyan, and I am the auctioneer of this auction. I hope that everyone will be able to obtain the treasures that you wish for in this auction." Shui Han Yen revealed a charming smile, looked around at the pairs of burning eyes, and announced in a natural and unrestrained manner, "Well, I won't waste everyone's precious time. I now announce that the Immortal Island auction officially begins." The Legend of the Desert. As Shui Hanyan's voice fell, streaks of white light lit up on her slender fingers. A blood-red fruit that looked like a child's head and was the size of a fist appeared in her hand. This fruit is called the Heavenly Spirit Blood Fruit. It's a pseudo-Dao fruit that contains the power of bloodlines. It can be used to refine medicine or consumed directly. If you're lucky, refining this Heavenly Spirit Blood Fruit may strengthen your bloodline power. Well, the starting price of this Heavenly Spirit Blood Fruit is 1 million mid-grade soul crystals. If you're interested, you can bid. Shui Hanyan picked up the Heavenly Spirit Blood Fruit and introduced it in detail. Her crisp voice made people's imagination run wild. A pseudo-Dao fruit? Yi Chunfeng's eyes lit up. He was interested in this Heavenly Spirit Blood Fruit and was ready to bid. Not only was Yi Chunfeng interested in this Heavenly Spirit Blood Fruit, but many people were also interested in this pseudo-Dao fruit and increased the price one after another. Soon, the price of the Heavenly Spirit Blood Fruit soared and finally rose to 550 million mid-grade soul crystals. 680 million. At this time, an expert from the Nine Nether Mountain bid. He directly increased the price by 30 million mid-grade soul crystals, which attracted the attention of many people. 1 billion. Yi Chunfeng had plundered the West Demon Sect's treasury and killed Shou Liuyun, the Yu family, and other experts. Coupled with the 5 billion mid-grade soul crystals that Shui Hanyan paid in advance, Yi Chunfeng could be said to be rich and overbearing. He directly increased the price to 1 billion. This price instantly shocked everyone present. Even Lu Meng was shocked. The man from the Nine Nether Mountain was also shocked by Yi Chenfeng's price. After repeated attempts, he gave up on bidding. In the end, the first item of the auction, the Heavenly Spirit Blood Fruit, was won by Yi Chenfeng. After paying 1 billion mid-grade soul crystals on the spot, Yi Chenfeng put the Heavenly Spirit Blood Fruit into his universe ring. He planned to give it to Lingyu in the future to enhance her bloodline power. Thank you for your generosity, young master. The second treasure that my immortal island has prepared for everyone is a top-grade heaven artifact. As she spoke, Shui Hani took out a 3-meter-long, pitch-black spear from her universe ring. The spearhead shone with a cold luster. This spear is called the Gallbladder Spear. An expert of my immortal island found it in an ancient ruin. The spearhead is embedded with a grade 7 heavenly beast's demonic core, which increases its attack power. It can be said that this Gallbladder Spear is definitely one of the best among the top-grade heaven artifacts. The starting price is 1 million mid-grade soul crystals. Everyone can start bidding now. Shui Hanyan raised the Gallbladder Spear high up and introduced it elegantly. A top-grade heaven artifact that is embedded with a grade 7 heavenly beast's demonic core. Yi Chenfeng raised his eyebrows and revealed a trace of astonishment. It could be said that the Immortal Island's auction had greatly exceeded his expectations, especially this Gallbladder Spear. If it was placed in an ordinary grade 7 sacred ground, it could be considered a clan treasure. However, he had the Emperor Sky Sword, the Sword of Great Ominous, and the Vermilion Bird Cauldron. He was not very interested in this Gallbladder Spear and did not participate in the bidding. He watched in silence as others fought for this Gallbladder Spear. The male teacher of the female student. After the time for half an incense stick to burn passed, a black-robed middle-aged man with a square face and eyes that were like cold stars made a bid of 4,450 million mid-grade soul crystals, and he obtained the bile spear in the end. The first two items were sold for close to 6 billion mid-grade soul crystals. I wonder how much wealth the Immortal Island's auction will earn this time. Yi Chenfeng looked at the man in black robes who bid for the Gallbladder Spear from afar. He could not help but shake his head and sigh. After the Gallbladder Spear, Shui Hanyan took out a cultivation chant that was close to a mid-grade Dao technique. Once again, it caused the experts of the various major forces to compete for it. In the end, this cultivation chant that was close to a mid-grade Dao technique was bought by the experts of the East Sea Palace for 4 billion mid-grade soul crystals. The three auction items exceeded 10 billion, which greatly exceeded Yi Chenfeng's expectations. He did not dare to imagine what kind of sky-high price the final auction item would be sold for. He was also looking forward to the price of the cultivation chant of the 3 unique water seals. The 3 precious items pushed the atmosphere of the auction hall up, but the value of the following items was far less than the value of the first 3 items. However, because the price of the first 3 items was too high, the price of these items exceeded the price of the previous items. Soon, the morning passed. Yi Chenfeng did not bid again, except for the first time. At that time, Lu Meng bid for 2 extraordinary treasures in succession. He was so happy that he could not close his mouth. He also let Yi Chenfeng see his powerful financial resources. Just as the atmosphere gradually became gloomy, Shui Hanyan smiled sweetly and took out a golden, seemingly heavy triangular crystal from her Qiankuan ring. She said, "My immortal island has prepared 49 treasures for you. It's a celestial treasure that is comparable to a pseudo-Dao treasure." As soon as her words fell, everyone's eyes suddenly lit up. The atmosphere of the entire auction hall was stirred up again. Mobile reading website, book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Collect button below to record this reading record. You can see it when you open the bookshelf next time. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 714. 22443557, Just what kind of channel did the immortal island use to obtain so many precious treasures to auction? Yi Chunfeng couldn't help but be shocked when he saw the heavenly treasure in Shui Hanyan's hand. Among the treasures auctioned by Immortal Island, there were many that were comparable to the most precious treasures of their clans. It was simply unimaginable in the outside world. I don't think I need to say more about the value of this heavenly treasure. The starting price is 10 million mid-grade soul crystals. Everyone may start bidding, Shui Hanyan announced in a gentle voice when she saw that everyone was excited by the heavenly treasure. 30 million mid-grade soul crystals. 80 million mid-grade soul crystals. 100 million, 300 million, 800 million, 1 billion. Under the crazy bidding, the price of the heavenly treasure continued to rise and finally settled at 1 billion mid-grade soul crystals. It was won by a reclusive family of the southern continent. Crazy, this is too crazy. Yi Chunfeng couldn't help but feel inspired when he saw the various major powers experts frantically bidding for the stone. However, a heavenly treasure like the stone was useless to him, so he didn't waste his money on it. My immortal island has prepared the 50th treasure for everyone. It is a golden rock's heart's blood sealed in a top-grade soul crystal. Shui Hanyan took out a sparkling and translucent top-grade soul crystal with a drop of dark golden blood sealed inside. The golden rock is the fastest divine beast in the Duhan continent. A mature golden rock can reach the 9th level of heavenly beast, comparable to a 6th level combat beast emperor. This drop of blood is refined from the heart of a mature golden rock. Its value is immeasurable. If a lucky person can refine it, it is very likely that the golden rock's bloodline will be born in their body, greatly increasing their life-saving means. The starting price is 100 million mid-grade soul crystals. Everyone may start bidding. Golden rock's heart's blood. Looking at the top-grade soul crystal in Shui Hanyan's hand, Yi Chunfeng was pleasantly surprised. If he could obtain this drop of golden rock's heart's blood, he might have a chance to increase the level of his golden rock's bloodline, greatly increasing his flying speed. 300 million, 500 million, 800 million, 1.5 billion. The price of the golden rock's blood soared rapidly under the frenzied bidding of the various major forces. The East Sea Palace, in particular, had developed a strong interest in this drop of golden rock's blood and constantly raised the price. When the price of the golden rock's blood essence rose to 6 billion, only the East Sea Palace was left to compete with an expert from an overseas force. The others were disappointed by their determined momentum and had no choice but to give up bidding. 10 billion mid-grade soul crystals. Just as everyone was looking at the two of them, guessing who would have the last laugh, Yi Chunfeng suddenly made a bid. The moment he opened his mouth, the noisy auction hall immediately quieted down. 10 billion, who is this person? How can he be so bold as to directly raise the price by 4 billion mid-grade soul crystals? Crazy character. This immortal island auction is indeed full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. I wonder if the people from the East Sea Palace will continue to raise the price? Hearing Yi Chunfeng's bid, everyone in the auction hall was stunned. They all looked at Yi Chunfeng, who had a calm expression on his face. The price of 10 billion had also created a new record for the day. 10 billion mid-grade soul crystals. Is there anyone else who wants to raise the price? Shui Hanyan asked gently as she glanced at Yi Chunfeng charmingly. She revealed a soul-stirring smile and asked gently, "Damn it, where did that kid come from? He actually dares to compete with the East Sea Palace." An old man with snow-white hair and sunken eyes glared angrily at Yi Chunfeng and said through gritted teeth. He gave off a ferocious feeling. He was wearing a long blue robe and had snow-white hair. "It's him. We had a conflict with the Immortal Island because of him." Looking at the calm expression on Yi Chunfeng's face, the three experts from the East Sea Palace immediately recognized him and said while gnashing their teeth, "He dares to go against the East Sea Palace. When this auction is over, I will not spare him." the ferocious old man said viciously and finally gave up bidding. The expert from the overseas force was also shocked by Yi Chenfeng's astonishing bid and had no choice but to give up. Since there is no increase in the price, this drop of golden rock's heart's blood belongs to this young master. Shui Hanyan smiled and handed the drop of golden rock's heart's blood to a graceful maid. Then she came to Yi Chenfeng's side and completed the transaction. Young Master Feng, you are so rich. Lu Meng's eyes widened, as if he didn't recognize Yi Chenfeng. The coquettish woman nestled in his arms kept casting flirtatious glances at Yi Chenfeng, trying to seduce him and attract his attention. Yi Chenfeng smiled at the surprised Lu Meng and didn't say much. After putting Golden Rock's heart's blood into the heaven and earth mirror, he waited in silence for the next treasure. After Golden Rock's heart's blood, Shui Hanyan took out a lot of valuable treasures to auction. However, these treasures were not very attractive to Yi Chenfeng, so he didn't continue to bid. Soon, it was close to evening, and the auction was coming to an end. The 96th treasure that the Immortal Island has prepared for you is a Great Way elixir of excellent quality. Shui Hanyan took out a white jade porcelain bottle from her heaven and earth ring and poured out a milky white elixir covered with Tao patterns that caused the air to vibrate. As soon as this elixir appeared, it immediately stirred up everyone's emotions and caused a commotion. Countless pairs of eyes were cast at the white jade porcelain bottle in Shui Hanyan's hand. The value of a Great Way elixir definitely exceeded that of a quasi-Taoist treasure. After taking it, a lucky combat beast emperor expert would have a chance to receive the Tao meaning contained in the Great Way elixir to cleanse his body, sublimate his Tao meaning, and break through to the next realm. In the face of this Great Way elixir, which could only be encountered by chance, the experts of all the major forces had a strong interest and wanted to get their hands on it. Great Way elixir, this immortal island is actually willing to take out such a treasure for auction. Record of supernatural ability, 1. Yi Chenfeng showed a hint of surprise. After all, a Great Way elixir was very likely to create an emperor-level expert. Ordinary forces would never be willing to take it out. The starting price of this Great Way elixir is 1 billion mid-grade soul crystals. If you are interested, you can bid now. Shui Hanyan looked at the burning look in everyone's eyes and didn't delay any longer. She said softly, 5 billion. As soon as Shui Hanyan's voice fell, the white-haired old man from the East Sea Palace in aqua-blue robes immediately bid. Obviously, they were determined to get this Great Way elixir. 6 billion. As soon as the old man from the East Sea Palace bid, the elder from the Nine Nether Mountain also bid. Hearing that the people from the Nine Nether Mountain wanted to compete with him, the old man from the East Sea Palace frowned slightly and immediately cast his gaze over. Elder Hai Lu, the Nine Nether Mountain, is also very interested in this Great Way elixir. Sorry, the elder from the Nine Nether Mountain, who was wearing a blood-red robe and had a strong aura, said with a smile. 8 billion. Just as the two major forces were communicating through telepathy, Yi Chenfeng bid again, increasing the price by 2 billion, making the atmosphere even more tense and intense. 9 billion, 10 billion, 15 billion. Many people were interested in this Great Way elixir. After all, soul crystals could be earned again, but if the Great Way elixir was lost, it would really be gone. 19 billion. Just as the bids were being shouted one after another in the auction hall, the sixth elder from the East Sea Palace gritted his teeth and shouted a sky-high price. 19 billion. Yi Chenfeng frowned slightly and looked hesitant. Although this Great Way elixir was very precious, its value was far less than the Dragon's Heart and Demon Sage Cold Knight's Tao Spirit. Moreover, he still had 17 billion middle-grade soul crystals left, and the number of high-grade soul crystals was only equivalent to 20 billion middle-grade soul crystals. If he were to fight blindly, even if he obtained the Great Way elixir, he would definitely lose the opportunity to compete for other treasures. After weighing the pros and cons, Yi Chenfeng gave up the bid. Seeing that the East Sea Palace was determined to get it, the other forces like the Nine Nether Mountain also gave up. In the end, the East Sea Palace won this extremely precious Great Way elixir at the sky-high price of 19 billion. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 7:15. Congratulations to 6th Elder Hai for winning this great Tao pill. Shui Hanyan was very satisfied with the price offered by the East Sea Palace. She revealed an enchanting smile as she looked at the 6th Elder of the East Sea Palace. However, the East Sea Palace had spent 19 billion to win the Great Tao Pill. They had basically lost the opportunity to compete for the final treasure. Alright, miss, let's not waste any more time. We want to know what the final treasure is. Some of the people who had lost the chance to compete were shouting loudly. Some of them couldn't wait to know the final 4 treasures of the auction. Ha ha ha. The final 4 treasures of my immortal island will definitely satisfy everyone. Shui Hanyan revealed a charming smile as she took out a heavy, and pitch-black heavy axe from her spatial ring. It seemed to be more than 10,000 jin in weight. This axe was refined from 10,000 years old cold iron fused with a top-grade star stone. There are 3,000 attack runes sealed inside. Its quality has surpassed that of a top-grade heaven tool, reaching the level of a pseudo-Dao tool. Coupled with its weight of more than 10,000 jin, it is absolutely a heavy killing weapon. If you have a cultivation technique and want to walk the path of strength, you must not miss this Dao axe. Shui Hanyan held the heavy axe in one hand as she vividly introduced it, as if the Dao axe was weightless in her hand. Her display of strength also shocked many people. They were shocked by her astonishing strength. Alright, the starting price of this Dao axe is 100 million mid-grade soul crystals. Everyone can start bidding. Shui Hanyan announced loudly as she sensed that everyone's interest had been aroused. A pseudo-Dao tool. Yi Chunfeng cultivated the cultivation technique and walked the path of strength. He was a little interested in this heavy pseudo-Dao tool. However, he knew that if he bought it with all his strength, he would have to give up the rest of the treasures. After weighing the pros and cons, he gave up. 5 billion, 8 billion, 10 billion, the entire auction hall was filled with shouting voices. In less than 10 breaths of time, the price had risen to 15 billion. At this point in the auction, the voices calling out bids were much quieter. Many people flinched at the sight of the price of 15 billion. In the end, a burly middle-aged man from Heng, whose entire body was filled with explosive muscles and had an obvious scar on his face, won the pseudo-Dao artifact heavy axe for 15.8 billion. Everyone, take a guess. What is this jade slip in my hand? After the transaction, Shui Hanyan took out a jade slip from her Qiankuan ring. She blinked her beautiful eyes and asked in a playful manner. Finally, it's my turn to use the 3 absolutes of water. Yi Chunfeng looked at the jade slip in Shui Hanyan's hand and smiled. He cast his gaze at the clueless experts of the East Sea Palace. He wanted to see their expressions after they learned the truth. Could it be a mid-grade Dao technique? Some people guessed. No, this jade slip is a set of upper-grade Taoist skill. Shui Hanyan shook her head and said, high-grade Dao technique? That's impossible. As soon as Shui Hanyan's voice fell, the entire auction hall was in an uproar. Many people had doubts about this. After all, upper-grade Taoist skills were the most precious treasures of an 8th-grade Holy Land. If it was placed in this auction, it was very likely to be the final treasure. This jade slip is indeed a set of upper-grade Taoist skill cultivation chant. However, the last move is missing, so it affects its value, Shui Hanyan explained. Miss Shui, apart from the 3 divine nations, there are very few upper-grade Taoist skill inheritances in other places. Does this jade slip in your hand come from the 3 divine nations? asked a white-haired old man with a strong aura. His eyes were shining brightly, and he wore a crown on his head. No, according to the seller, this jade slip is not from the three divine nations, but from the eastern continent. Shui Hanyan shook her head gently and said, Eastern continent? The East Sea Palace's third elder frowned slightly and said with some doubt, There are not many upper-grade Taoist skill inheritances in the eastern continent. Miss, are you sure that this jade slip is a high-grade Taoist skill passed down in the eastern continent? Yes, I can guarantee with the reputation of the Immortal Island that this jade slip is undoubtedly a high-grade Taoist skill passed down in the eastern continent. However, we don't know its specific origin. Shui Hanyan nodded and said, In that case, miss, please state the starting price and start the bidding. The East Sea Palace's third elder nodded and said with a strong interest in the mysterious Taoist skill in this jade slip. The starting price of this upper-grade Taoist skill is 1 billion mid-grade soul crystals. Everyone can start bidding. Shui Hanyan revealed a thought-provoking smile and announced, 10 billion. As soon as Shui Hanyan's voice fell, Yi Chenfeng shouted without hesitation. He deliberately raised the price of the three absolutes water arts to create a tense atmosphere. Hearing Yi Chenfeng's bid, many people cast a surprised look at him. They were surprised by his wealth and guessed his identity and background. 12 billion. A rogue cultivator from the southern continent gritted his teeth and shouted. As a rogue cultivator, he lacked inheritances the most. If he could get this upper-grade Taoist skill, his strength would be greatly improved and he would have a chance to kill his enemies. 15 billion. The people of the East Sea Palace discussed for a while and shouted. However, they had just won the Great Tao Pill and were obviously not as competitive as the 9 Nether Mountain and some wealthy super forces. Soon, the cultivation chant of the three absolutes water arts was raised to a sky-high price of 2.6 million. Although this upper-grade Taoist skill only has the first 2 moves, the power of these 2 moves is comparable to an ordinary upper-grade Taoist skill. You won't regret winning this bid. As the price continued to rise, fewer and fewer people shouted. Looking at the 9 Nether Mountain and the Heng faction competing with each other, Shui Hanyan's charming appearance constantly aroused their emotions. 30 billion mid-grade soul crystals. The people of the 9 Nether Mountain discussed for a while and finally bid the highest price they could bear. 30 billion, that's a good price. Yi Chenfeng smiled faintly. If he won the bid at that price, he could still get more than 20 billion mid-grade soul crystals. He would definitely have the strength to compete for the final treasure. 30 billion, is there anyone who wants to bid? Shui Hanyan was very satisfied with the price and asked in a charming voice. After waiting for more than 10 breaths, Shui Hanyan saw that no one wanted to bid and finally announced that the jade slip was won by the 9 Nether Mountain. After paying the sky-high price of 30 billion mid-grade soul crystals, the people of the 9 Nether Mountain successfully won the jade slip. When they impatiently penetrated the jade slip to check the upper-grade Taoist skill, they were stunned and looked at the people of the East Sea Palace with strange gazes. What's wrong, Elder Yu Wu? Looking at the strange gazes of the people of the 9 Nether Mountain, the 6th elder of the East Sea Palace frowned slightly and asked in surprise. If I'm not wrong, the upper-grade Taoist skill engraved in this jade slip seems to be the number 1 martial art in your palace, the 3 absolutes water arts. Elder Yu Wu said. What? His words caused a huge commotion. After hearing what Elder Yu Wu said, the people of the East Sea Palace were stunned as if they were struck by lightning. The entire auction hall was in an uproar. Remember the website. Sanwu Chinese Network. Chapter 716. Elder Yowu, are you sure this jade slip contains the cultivation chants of the 3 absolutes of the East Sea Palace? The 6th elder of the East Sea Palace asked angrily, his eyes burning with uncontrollable flames and blue veins popping out on his forehead. Yes, most likely. Elder Yowu nodded and released the restriction on the jade slip, allowing the soul of the sixth elder of the East Sea Palace to penetrate into the jade slip. Tell me, how did your immortal island get the cultivation chance of the three absolutes of the East Sea Palace? After confirming that the jade slip really contained the first two forms of the three absolutes, the experts of the East Sea Palace were all enraged. They stood up one after another like enraged lions, glaring at Shui Hanyan's beautiful face and loudly questioning her. Once the cultivation chance of the three absolutes of the water prohibition spread, it would have a great impact on the East Sea Palace. Shui Hanyan looked at the furious experts of the East Sea Palace and calmly explained, "A few days ago, a young man came to me and insisted on auctioning this jade slip. At that time, he only said that this jade slip was passed down in the East Continent and did not tell us its true origin." "Young man? What does that young man look like?" the sixth elder exhaled and angrily asked. "Elder Hai Lu, that person dares to auction the three absolutes of the water prohibition in public. Do you think he will show his true face?" Shui Hanyan asked back. "But after the auction, he will come to me for the mid-grade soul crystal. Whether you can find him or not will depend on the ability of the East Sea Palace." "How dare you?" Elder Hai Lu did not expect Shui Hanyan to not give him any face and was completely enraged. A towering evil qi erupted from his body and swept towards Shui Hanyan like a volcanic eruption. "Elder Hai Lu, my immortal island is not a place for you to act wildly. If you continue to be presumptuous, don't blame me for driving you out." Facing the evil qi released by the sixth elder of the East Sea Palace, Shui Hanyan gently stretched out a finger and pointed at the void. Suddenly, dense water ripples appeared in the air in front of her. The terrifying finger directly pierced through the evil qi and pointed at Elder Hai Lu. "Pooh!" Elder Hai Lu felt a sharp pain in his chest as his defense was broken by Shui Hanyan's finger. A large amount of blood spurted out from his chest and dyed his robe red in an instant. So strong! Witnessing Shui Hanyan injuring Elder Hai Lu, who was a level 3 beast emperor, with a single finger, everyone present was awed by her heaven-defying strength. They never thought that such a beautiful and enchanting woman would be so terrifying. A level 5 beast emperor. She is actually a level 5 beast emperor expert. How did she cultivate? The moment Shui Hanyan made a move, the God-Eater brain sensed her true strength. This made Yi Chunfeng suck in a breath of cold air. He felt that this immortal island was even more mysterious. Sixth Elder. Seeing the sixth elder injured by Shui Hanyan's finger, the experts of the East Sea Palace were all shocked. They hurriedly supported him, their faces filled with horror. "All right, let the auction continue. If anyone is tired of waiting, you can leave now," Shui Hanyan said domineeringly as she looked at the experts of the East Sea Palace who dared not voice their anger. "Sit down." Although Elder Hai Lu, who was heavily injured and had lost all face, wanted to leave, the loss of the three absolutes of water was too important. He still wanted to fight for the other two most precious treasures, so after some hesitation, he shamelessly stayed. "My immortal island's 99th auction item is a pseudo-Dao artifact." Seeing the experts of the East Sea Palace becoming obedient, Shui Hanyan revealed a charming smile. She took out a blue bead from her interspatial ring and slowly introduced it. This frost bead was obtained from an ancient cold land. It contains the power of extreme yin and extreme cold. Even an emperor-level expert can't withstand its attack. If I can get this frost bead, together with the vermilion bird cauldron and scarlet thunder bead, I might have a chance to kill a 4th-grade beast emperor. Looking at the frost bead in Shui Hanyan's hand, Yi Chunfeng showed great interest. He was ready to try to get it. "The starting price of this frost bead is 1 billion. Everyone can start bidding now," Shui Hanyan softly announced. Just as Yi Chunfeng was about to call out a price, a deep voice suddenly rang out. 30 billion. Wow! As soon as the deep voice sounded, the entire auction hall was in an uproar. Almost everyone's gaze was directed to a young man sitting in the back row. He was wearing a white robe with cloud patterns and a crown on his head. His eyes were as deep as the sea, and he was gently fanning himself with a jade fan. He had a frivolous smile on his face. Beside him sat an old man in a gray robe with cloudy eyes that couldn't be seen clearly. 30 billion. Yi Chunfeng frowned slightly. He did not expect this young man of unknown origins to be able to raise the price so high on his first bid. This gave him a lot of pressure. 30 billion. I wonder if anyone wants to continue bidding? Shui Hanyan also showed a hint of surprise. She glanced at the white-robed man and asked in a pleasant voice. 30 billion. After hesitating for a while, Yi Chunfeng called out his final bid. Lu Meng, who was beside him, was shocked. 40 billion. Without waiting for Shui Hanyan to speak, the white-robed man put away the jade fan in his hand and looked at Yi Chunfeng. What is this person's identity? How can his wealth be so terrifying? Yi Chunfeng had plundered the West Demon Sect's treasury and killed the Myriad Beast Mountain's sect master, Shou Liuyun. He had only obtained a little more than 30 billion mid-grade soul crystals. However, this white-robed man had increased the price to 40 billion in 2 bids. This made Yi Chunfeng surprised. 40 billion mid-grade soul crystals. Is there anyone who wants to increase the price? Shui Hanyan looked at Yi Chunfeng and asked. It won't be worth it if you increase the price again. Although the frost bead was extremely precious, Yi Chunfeng still gave up. Not only did Yi Chunfeng give up, but the people of the East Sea Palace and 9 Nether Mountain also didn't bid because they didn't have enough soul crystals. In the end, this extremely high-quality pseudo-Dao treasure frost bead was won by a mysterious man with an extraordinary origin for a sky-high price of 40 billion. Well, it's finally our turn to show the finale. I wonder if everyone is interested in guessing what the last treasure my immortal island has prepared for everyone? Shui Hanyan revealed a mesmerizing smile as she deliberately mystified. Could it be a Dao treasure? Someone guessed. A high-grade Dao skill. Seeing Shui Hanyan gently shake her head, someone guessed. Well, I won't keep you in suspense. The last treasure of this auction is a secret technique, sword steps. Shui Hanyan smiled sweetly, took out a blood-red jade slip from her bosom, and introduced it in a soft voice. Miss Shui, how powerful is this sword step? Someone asked. The power of this secret sword step is not inferior to an ordinary high-grade Dao skill. Everyone can rest assured. Shui Hanyan softly assured. A secret sword step comparable to a high-grade Dao skill. Yi Chunfeng stared at the blood-red jade slip in Shui Hanyan's hand. As he stared at it, the incredible God-Eater brain found a trace of abnormality in this jade slip. Well, is there anything else in this jade slip? Yi Chunfeng raised his eyebrows slightly and revealed a trace of surprise. Although the God-Eater brain couldn't sense what was hidden in the jade slip for a while, Yi Chunfeng had a feeling that whether it was the sword step or the hidden things in the jade slip, they were extremely useful to him. I must get this blood-red jade slip. Yi Chunfeng secretly made up his mind and was ready to bid for this last treasure at all costs. Mobile reading site, book address. In order to facilitate your next reading, you can click on the Collect button below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 717. Well, don't introduce it. Just tell us the starting price of this secret technique. The white-robed man who had just won the cold pearl seemed to have forgotten that Shui Hanyan had injured Elder Hai Lu with one finger and urged impatiently. Since this young master is so anxious, then I won't say much. The starting price of this secret technique is 10 billion mid-grade soul crystals. Everyone can start bidding. Hearing the white-robed man's rude urging, Shui Hanyan didn't get angry and announced in a soft voice. 40 billion. Without waiting for others to bid, the white-robed man once again bid. His bid shocked everyone present. Even the people from the East Sea Palace and the 9 Nether Mountain were shocked by his bid. Their faces became extremely ugly. Young master, this last treasure is extraordinary. In order to prevent you from randomly bidding, we must first confirm whether you still have 40 billion mid-grade soul crystals. Shui Hanyan said in a soft voice. Of course. The white-robed man nonchalantly took out the 5 Qiankuan rings and said, These are 5 Qiankuan rings, and each of them contains the equivalent of 10 billion mid-grade soul crystals. You can examine them as you wish. Young master is really generous. Shui Hanyan released her soul power into the 5 universe rings to confirm the number of soul crystals inside and said with a charming smile. 50 billion. Yi Qinfeng didn't expect that the white-robed man would spend 40 billion mid-grade soul crystals and still have 50 billion mid-grade soul crystals. He felt a little pressure and took a deep breath and bid. Well, the white-robed man's smile froze on his face when he heard Yi Qinfeng's bid. He frowned slightly and looked at Yi Qinfeng. He didn't expect that Yi Qinfeng would dare to bid knowing the number of soul crystals he had. Young master, we also need to check the number of soul crystals you have in order to confirm your bid. Shui Hanyan said in a pleasant voice. Right now, I only have 3,700,000 mid-grade soul crystals on me, Yi Qinfeng said indifferently. As soon as Yi Qinfeng's voice fell, it immediately caused a huge uproar. Pairs of mocking eyes were cast at him in unison, unable to figure out what tricks he was playing. The white-robed man revealed a mocking smile, waiting for him to embarrass himself. This young master, my immortal island auction house does not accept credit. If young master cannot give me a satisfactory explanation, then forgive me for following the rules and punishing you for randomly bidding. Shui Hanyan's voice suddenly became cold, and her beautiful eyes emitted a cold light. Although I don't have 50 billion mid-grade soul crystals on me, your auction house still owes me 22 billion mid-grade soul crystals. In order to obtain the mysterious blood-red jade slip, Yi Qinfeng decided to reveal his identity. So it's you, young master. Hearing Yi Qinfeng's words, the clever Shui Hanyan immediately guessed his identity. The coldness on her face was immediately replaced by a seductive smile. She said softly, The 3 absolutes of water were sold for 30 billion. After deducting our 10% commission and the 5 billion mid-grade soul crystals we paid in advance, our auction house really does owe you 22 billion mid-grade soul crystals. It's you. As soon as Shui Hanyan's voice fell, the faces of Elder Hai Lu and the others changed dramatically. They all stood up and stared at Yi Qinfeng like fierce, hungry wolves. Boy, let me ask you, where did you get the 3 absolutes of water from my East Sea Palace? I bought it from a roadside stall. Yi Qinfeng ignored the cold eyes of Elder Hai Lu and the others and casually said, Bullshit. Elder Hai Lu glared at Yi Qinfeng and roared, Boy, I advise you to tell me the truth. Otherwise, if you fall into our hands, I will make you beg for death. Well, since you insist on knowing the truth, then I will tell you. Yi Qinfeng pretended to ponder and said, Actually, your palace Lord Hemingway map cried and begged me to accept the 3 absolutes of water. At that time, I didn't want to accept it, but he knelt down and refused to get up. I had no choice but to accept the 3 ultimate water seals cultivation chant with the thought of doing good deeds, Yi Qinfeng said seriously. You're courting death. Elder Hai Lu didn't expect Yi Qinfeng to be so bold as to humiliate their palace Lord Hemingway map in public. The anger in his heart completely erupted, and he was about to teach Yi Qinfeng a lesson. What, the warning I gave you just now wasn't enough? You want to disrupt the order of this auction? Yi Qinfeng didn't pay attention to the furious Elder Hai Lu and the others. His eyes drifted to Shui Hanyan and deliberately criticized her loudly. Yes, this young master is right. The auction is not over yet, and you have repeatedly broken the rules. Now I ask you to leave. Shui Hanyan glared at Yi Qinfeng with some anger. No matter what kind of deep hatred Yi Qinfeng had with the East Sea Palace, The rules and order of the auction were not to be broken. She could only stand up for Yi Chunfeng and loudly reprimanded him. Okay, let's go. If you have the guts, you can hide here forever. As long as you dare to come out, I will definitely twist off your dog head. Thinking of Shui Hanyan's terrifying strength, Elder Hai Lu didn't have the face to stay any longer. He left behind a ruthless sentence and angrily left with the East Sea Palace. Now, can we continue the auction? Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile as he looked at the beautiful Shui Hanyan and softly asked. Of course. Shui Hanyan's eyes shot out rays of light as if she wanted to see through Yi Chunfeng, who had repeatedly surprised her. 50 billion mid-grade soul crystals. Is there anyone else who wants to increase the price? Shui Hanyan had regained her charming and noble appearance. She looked around at the pairs of burning eyes and asked in a pleasant voice. 55 billion mid-grade soul crystals. The white-robed man didn't hesitate and continued to bid. 59 billion. Yi Chunfeng made up his mind and called out the highest price he could bear. If this price still couldn't deter the white-robed man, he would have to give up with only 5 top-grade soul crystals and 5 heaven crystals left. Well, compared to me in terms of wealth, you are too far behind. 65 billion. The white-robed man sneered and continued to raise the price as if the soul crystals were worthless in his eyes. Could this person be from the Central Divine Nation? Although the East Sea Palace was known as the #1 holy land of the 4 continents, it would be difficult for them to take out 100 billion soul crystals at once. Therefore, Yi Chunfeng couldn't help but wonder if the white-robed man came from the central continent of the fighting spirit continent. Only people from the Central Divine Nation could be so extravagant and have such a huge amount of wealth. Young master, are you going to continue to raise the price? Shui Hanyan cast her eyes on Yi Chunfeng. The price of the secret sword steps was far beyond her expectation. I give up. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and softly spat out 3 words. However, although he said that, he didn't give up in his heart. No matter what, he had to get the blood-red jade slip that attracted him greatly. Even if the white-robed man really came from the illusory divine nation, he would fight with all his strength and kill him when he left. Well, since this young master has given up, I announce that the last item of this auction, the secret sword steps, is won by this young master. Shui Hanyan revealed a smile that was as beautiful as 100 flowers blooming. She was astonishingly beautiful as she announced softly. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Collect button below to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 718. 22463592. Young Master Feng, here are 22 billion mid-grade soul crystals. Please check them. After the auction ended, Yi Chunfeng followed Shui Hanyan to an antique back hall that emitted a faint orchid fragrance. Shui Hanyan handed him a dark golden ring and said with a charming expression, Miss Shui, I wonder if you can exchange these 22 billion mid-grade soul crystals for mid-grade heaven crystals? In order to successfully kill the man in white and seize the secret technique, sword steps, Yi Chunfeng wanted to exchange as many heaven crystals as possible to enhance the strength of the sword puppet. I don't have any mid-grade heaven crystals, but I can consider exchanging a few low-grade heaven crystals for you. Shui Hanyan sat opposite Yi Chunfeng elegantly and crossed her fair and slender legs. She personally poured a cup of spirit tea for Yi Chunfeng and said, I wonder how many low-grade heaven crystals can be exchanged for with these 22 billion mid-grade soul crystals? Yi Chunfeng looked at Shui Hanyan's beautiful face and asked in a low voice. Low-grade heaven crystals are extremely rare. Even in the central continent they are rarely seen, so the exchange price is extremely high. Your 22 billion mid-grade soul crystals can only be exchanged for 8 low-grade heaven crystals at most, Shui Hanyan pondered and said. Miss, how many low-grade heaven crystals do you have? I want to exchange them all. Knowing that Shui Hanyan had low-grade heaven crystals, Yi Chunfeng's eyes lit up and asked, Do you really need heaven crystals? Looking at Yi Chunfeng's eyes that were hiding a trace of expectation, Shui Hanyan twirled her long hair around her chest and asked with a charming smile. You can say that. Yi Chunfeng nodded his head and said honestly, If you let me see your real face, maybe I'll exchange it for you when I'm happy. Shui Hanyan leaned forward slightly and pressed her pair of weapons that could make men go crazy on the edge of the table. She said with a great visual impact. Then forget it. 8 it is. Yi Chunfeng couldn't figure out Shui Hanyan's background and didn't want to show her real face, so he declined tactfully. Why? Are you afraid of me? Shui Hanyan moved a little closer. Her slender eyebrows bent down, and a shallow dimple appeared on her delicate cheeks. She asked in a charming manner. CEO of Revenge and Love, Miss, you're so strong. Of course I'm scared. Looking at Shui Hanyan's face up close, Yi Chunfeng found that she was indeed a very attractive and charming woman. He met her gaze and slowly said, Yes, it's fine. Ha ha ha, but why do I feel that you're the kind of person who isn't afraid of anything? Shui Hanyan suddenly bloomed a charming smile, and her enchanting demeanor made Yi Chunfeng involuntarily attracted. I can only say that Miss overestimates me. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and suppressed the strange feeling in his heart. He said, I am indeed not as bold as you say. Really? The corners of Shui Hanyan's mouth curled into a charming arc as she said, I've suddenly changed my mind. If you don't show me your true appearance, I won't exchange a single piece of low-grade heaven crystal for you. All right, since Miss insists on seeing my true appearance, then go ahead. Just don't scare Mississippi. The heaven crystal was too important to Yi Chunfeng. Only by accumulating enough heaven crystal and raising the strength of the sword puppet to level 6 combat beast emperor would he have the capital to intercept and kill the white-clothed man suspected to be from the divine nation. Without any other choice, Yi Chunfeng dispersed the illusion Dao intent and restored his true appearance. Ha ha ha, young master is indeed as young and handsome as I imagined. Looking at Yi Chunfeng's handsome face, the smile on Shui Hanyan's face deepened. Her limpid eyes were filled with a charming flirtatious expression. Now, miss, can you give me the low-grade heaven crystal? Yi Chunfeng looked at Shui Hanyan's devastatingly beautiful face and asked indifferently. Don't worry. Since I've promised you, I naturally won't go back on my words. Shui Hanyan slowly sat back down with a rosy smile on her face. She took a sip of the fragrant spiritual tea and took out 8 low-grade heaven crystals from her universe ring and gave them to Yi Chunfeng. Sensing that Shui Hanyan still had some low-grade heaven crystals on her, Yi Chunfeng asked softly, I want to exchange for some more low-grade heaven crystals. Is that okay? If you give me the cultivation chant for the last move of the 3 Absolutes water seal, I'll give you another 5 low-grade heaven crystals, Shui Hanyan said with a slight smile on her face. I'm sorry, I only have the first 2 moves of the 3 Absolutes water seal. If I have them, I'll definitely give them to Miss, Yi Chunfeng said apologetically. Really? Shui Hanyan didn't believe Yi Chunfeng's words. If Miss doesn't believe me, then I can't do anything about it. Alright, it's getting late. I won't disturb Miss anymore. I'm leaving. See you later. From the simple conversation, Yi Chunfeng felt that Shui Hanyan wasn't simple. Moreover, her charm was too great, causing Yi Chunfeng to let his imagination run wild. Helpless, he gave up on the idea of continuing the transaction and got up to leave. The people from the East Sea Palace are blocking the entrance. Aren't you afraid of their revenge if you go out like this? Shui Hanyan, who exuded a fatal charm, leaned on the soft chair and said softly, Moreover, Elder Hai Lu has placed a tracking mark on you. No matter what you change into, you won't be able to hide from his divine sense. I can help you. The CEO fell into the trap for love. My worthless life is not worthy of Mrs. Concern. Goodbye. Yi Chunfeng didn't show any trace of panic on his face. Without hesitation, he turned around and left. What an interesting guy. Looking at Yi Chunfeng's departing figure, Shui Hanyan's beautiful eyes emitted rays of demonic light. She released a powerful soul spirit in her mind. She wanted to know how Yi Chunfeng managed to escape from the East Sea Palace's experts. The tracking mark disappeared. With his level 6 Defiant Beast King realm, he actually discovered the tracking mark left on him by Elder Hailu, who is a level 3 Combat Beast Emperor. He even destroyed it. Feeling that the tracking mark on Yi Chunfeng's body had suddenly disappeared, Shui Hanyan revealed a trace of astonishment. She was astonished by his hidden strength. Her interest in Yi Chunfeng grew even stronger. She continued to release a powerful soul spirit to track him. Illusion Dao Intent Illusion. Following a white jade path, Yi Chunfeng arrived at the golden door with a cloud dragon engraved on it. His body flashed slightly, and he flashed behind an ancient tree that would require 4 people to wrap their arms around it. He then controlled the illusion Dao Intent to change his appearance. Shui Hanyan, who had been releasing her soul spirit to track Yi Chunfeng, noticed that Yi Chunfeng had changed his appearance. Her face immediately turned red with anger, and she was furious. She never would have thought that Yi Chunfeng would be so daring as to impersonate her in her own territory without the slightest scruple. Could it be that he discovered my soul spirit? Shui Hanyan suddenly noticed that Yi Chunfeng was smiling in her direction. An unbelievable thought appeared in her mind. If Yi Chunfeng really discovered her soul spirit, it meant that Yi Chunfeng's soul spirit surpassed hers. This made her feel incredulous. Just when she felt that Yi Chunfeng was far stronger than she imagined, Yi Chunfeng's action directly made her go mad with anger. The corners of Yi Chunfeng's mouth curled up slightly. In front of many people, he intentionally patted his perky butt, twisted his waist, and slowly walked out of the auction house. Damn it! Damn it! I won't forgive you! Shui Hanyan instantly felt that something was wrong with her butt. Her beautiful face became blood red, and surging flames of rage burned fiercely in her chest. Her lungs were about to explode from anger. Flirting, this was blatant flirting. As a proud daughter of heaven, she had always been proud. When had she ever suffered such a great humiliation? But at this time, Yi Chunfeng had already left the auction house unhurriedly. He deceived the East Sea Palace experts lying in ambush outside and left with a swagger. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You can see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 719. 22463593, 8th Prince. It's getting late. Let's go. A white-haired old man in a dark gray robe, who looked like he had one foot in the grave, said in a low voice, as he looked at the reluctant man in white. Protector Jean, with your strength, can you capture Shui Hanyan for this prince? Thinking of Shui Hanyan's seductive face and graceful figure, the man in white asked passionately. 8th Prince, the background of this immortal island is not simple. The island owner is a level 5 combat beast emperor, and Shui Hanyan is even more unfathomable. However, with my strength, I don't have the confidence to capture her. The old man in gray shook his head and said, Is Shui Hanyan that powerful? The man in white did not believe the old man in gray. After all, there was a huge difference in strength between a level 5 combat beast emperor and a level 6 combat beast emperor. Even 10 level 5 combat beast emperors would not be able to withstand the attack of a level 6 combat beast emperor. 8th Prince, don't underestimate the immortal island. I suspect that she is the same as us, from a level 9 divine kingdom of the central continent. The old man in gray said seriously. What? That's impossible. The man in white's face changed slightly, revealing a look of disbelief. This immortal island is not simple. It is very likely to be a hidden chess piece of one of the central continent's divine nations. Therefore, we must return to the Chilean divine nation as soon as possible and report this news to the divine emperor. We must take precautions in advance. The gray-clothed elder took a deep breath and said, "Then what about the forbidden seabed life zone? Are we just going to give up the opportunity inside?" The man in white asked, unwilling to give up. "The restriction of the forbidden seabed life zone is too terrifying. With my strength, it will be difficult to obtain the treasures inside. When we return to the Kirin kingdom, we will take a few treasures and think of a way to enter the forbidden seabed life zone." "All right, then let's go back." Looking at the old man in gray's solemn face, the man in white also felt the seriousness of the situation. He had no choice but to suppress the impulse in his heart and obediently followed the old man in gray to board the ship. They mixed in with the other ships and quickly left the port of the Immortal Island. The white-robed man and his group had just left the Immortal Island when Yi Chunfeng, who was controlling the illusion Dao pattern to constantly change his appearance, arrived at the harbor. He glanced at the cruise ship that was sailing into the distance, summoned his soul wings, and flew into the sky. A blood-colored jade slip. If my eyesight is not bad, the value of this jade slip should be greater than the value of the sword step. The reason why the white-clothed man was so generous with the secret sword steps was because he had discovered the value of the blood-colored jade slip. Crazy character. But just as he was about to release his soul power to penetrate the blood-red jade slip, wanting to check whether this jade slip was real or not, a terrifying and austere aura suddenly appeared, like a surging tide, enveloping the entire ship, causing the white-robed man's heart to suddenly tremble. The next moment, the gray-robed old man, who was sitting cross-legged on the deck and guarding the ship, opened his turbid eyes. He instantly merged with the power of his spiritual beast and shouted, "Everyone, watch out! An expert is approaching." Expert? Could it be someone from the Immortal Island? The white-clothed man said angrily as he left the cabin. He believed that with the gray-robed old man's strength as a level 6 combat beast emperor, he could deal with any trouble and bring a devastating disaster to the attacker. The white-clothed man had just arrived on the deck when a terrifying sword intent swept over. The sea of clouds was torn apart. As far as the eye could see, the sky was torn apart by a shocking sword light that suddenly appeared, splitting a huge crack in the sky. And the white-clothed man, who was shrouded by the sword momentum, felt his legs tremble. He felt like he was being stared at by the Grim Reaper. His forehead was instantly covered with cold sweat. "Be careful!" Looking at the shocking sword that swept across heaven and earth, the gray-robed old man's expression changed slightly. A low-grade Taoist artifact like an ancient staff that looked like a white bone appeared in his hand. He used all his strength to meet the shocking sword. Boom! When the two powerful attacks collided, they immediately set off endless waves in the air, causing the blue sea to surge violently, setting off huge waves that were dozens of meters tall. Level 6 Combat Beast Emperor. Feeling the power of the sword just now, the gray-robed old man, who was shaken back to the deck, changed his expression slightly. Looking at the sea of clouds that was torn apart by the sword light, he whispered, "Your Excellency, who are you? Why did you sneak attack us? Dead people don't need to know my identity." The sword puppet, who had fused with 13 low-grade heaven crystals and 10,000 top-grade soul crystals, had the strength of a level 6 combat beast emperor for a short time. It walked out of the thick sea of clouds and looked at the gray-robed old man and the others coldly. "What a big tone!" The gray-robed old man sneered and replied domineeringly, "I have been in the Duhun continent for thousands of years, and no one has ever dared to talk to me like this. I can only say that you are a frog at the bottom of a well." The sword puppet walked in the air with its hands behind its back. It was as if every step it took could cross thousands of meters, closely following the rapidly sailing ship. "Die!" The sword puppet's deep eyes emitted a strong murderous light. It turned its body into a sword and cut open the void, leaving a shocking sword mark, and slashed at the sea of clouds. Looking at the sword light that was thousands of meters long and full of destructive power, the gray-robed old man's expression changed greatly. He instantly ignited the bloodline of his spiritual beast and faced it with the bone staff in his hand. Boom! The gray-robed old man released 3 great Tao wills and merged them into the bone staff. The bone staff bombarded the shocking sword light and blocked the sword puppet's sword light. You guys protect the 8th prince and continue the route. I will deal with this person. The Legend of the Desert. After resisting the sword puppet's attack, the gray-robed old man warned seriously. He held the low-grade Taoist bone staff in his hand and faced the sword puppet in the air. Damn it, the immortal island is so bold. How dare they intercept us? Just wait for the revenge of the Kirin kingdom. Looking at the terrifying attack of the sword puppet, the white-robed man's face became gloomy. He gritted his teeth and thought that the sword puppet was a master sent by the immortal island to intercept and kill them. Seeing the ship leaving quickly, the sword puppet didn't chase after it. Instead, it turned into a sword and attacked the gray-robed old man with all its strength. What kind of body is this? The gray-robed old man used all his skills to attack, but no matter what kind of Taoist skill he used, he couldn't hurt the sword puppet at all. Instead, he was suppressed by the sword puppet, which made him reveal a look of disbelief. While he was still in shock, the sword puppet suddenly increased its attack speed to the peak. It was so fast that its waving arms seemed to have disappeared. Only a fast white shadow could be seen, completely enveloping the gray-robed old man. Bone staff break. Surrounded by the dense white sword shadows, the gray-robed old man continuously poured his soul power and Taoist will into the bone staff. It danced in the sky and moved the earth, tearing apart the dense sword light and attacking with all his strength. Chasing cloud and moon. Unable to hurt the sword puppet, the gray-robed old man with a gloomy face used his ultimate move. The 3 Taoist wills in his body exploded at the same time, condensing into a real moon. It carried a destructive sea of clouds and swept through the void, attacking the sword puppet. Chasing cloud and moon was one of the 8 great inheritances of the Kirin kingdom. Its true power was comparable to a top-grade Taoist skill, enough to separate rivers and cut mountains. Facing the gray-robed old man's ultimate move, the sword puppet didn't dodge. It directly rushed in, using its indestructible body to collide with the destructive Taoist skill. Boom, boom, boom. After a series of dense explosions, the gray-robed old man watched in horror as the sword puppet tore apart the destructive power that suddenly exploded and attacked him at an extremely fast speed, using its body as a sword to send him flying. Just as the sword puppet was suppressing the gray-robed old man with all its strength and fighting fiercely, the Kirin kingdom's ship had already sailed far away. Just as the white-robed man's face was gloomy and he was thinking of a plan to take revenge on the immortal island, an ear-piercing sound rang out. Yi Chunfeng took advantage of the opportunity when the sword puppet was entangled with the gray-robed old man and appeared on the deck of the ship with the spiritual fish that had broken through to the half-step Emperor realm. Mobile reading site, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button below to record this reading record. Next time you open the bookshelf, you will see it. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 720. Who are you? When the white-clothed man saw Yi Chunfeng, who had changed her appearance, and the exceptionally cute spirit fish, who had a petite figure and rosy cheeks, suddenly appear on the deck of the ship, he did not recognize Yi Chunfeng and asked with a gloomy expression, "I'm the one who's going to kill you." Yi Chunfeng looked coldly at the man in white and said with killing intent, "You think you can." Sensing Yi Chunfeng's strength as a Class 6 defiant beast king, the man in white showed a trace of disdain. He did not believe that Yi Chunfeng and the spirit fish could pose a threat to him. "Go break his legs." Let him know how powerful we are. The white-clothed man coldly ordered a burly, square-faced, bearded, and long black hair casually draped over his shoulders. He was a rank 1 beast emperor. Yes, 8th prince. The tall and sturdy man nodded and walked towards Yi Chunfeng with heavy steps, carrying a thick killing intent. Kid, you're not even fully grown yet you dare to rob us? I hope you can be a good person in your next life. There are some people you can't afford to offend. A crimson tiger appeared behind the burly man. Its roar shook heaven and earth, and the terrifying tiger aura was suffocating. We don't know who's going to die yet. The beautiful spirit fish coldly snorted. She took a big stride forward and stood in front of Yi Chunfeng. She did not back down as the terrifying power of her bloodline started to burn. Sensing the increasingly powerful aura in the spirit fish, the burly man's face changed slightly. He could sense a dangerous aura from her petite body. Go to hell! The burly man roared and instantly merged with the crimson tiger. He burst out with shocking power and attacked the spirit fish. The burly man's fist was filled with unparalleled pressure. The spirit fish did not dodge. Instead, she waved her small fist to meet it. Bang! Their fists collided. Suddenly, there was an explosion of shocking power and intense repulsion. Dang, dang! Facing the sudden burst of power from the spirit fish, the burly man felt as if he was hit by a mountain. His body trembled, and he uncontrollably took a few steps back. 8 divine ape shadows! After knocking the burly man back with a punch, a light flashed under the feet of the spirit fish. Instantly, it transformed into several afterimages and appeared behind the burly man who had lost control of his body. Then, it threw a punch at his spine. Not good. The burly man didn't expect the spiritual fish to be so powerful, and he was at a disadvantage because of his carelessness. He hurriedly channeled his Tao will and soul power into his high-grade heaven-tier battle armor to defend himself. Star-seizing fist. The spirit fish's petite fists glowed with starlight, and one of her star-like fists fiercely smashed into the burly man's back. Gotcha! The crisp sound of bones breaking rang out. The burly man's high-grade heaven-grade battle armor was shattered by the star-plucking fist. A powerful force penetrated his body, shattering his spine. A large amount of blood spurted out uncontrollably from his mouth. Looking at the scene of the burly man being injured so easily by the spirit fish, the smile on the white-robed man's face froze and his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Heavenly thunder break! The burly man took a deep breath and forcefully suppressed the severe injuries on his body. A large amount of heavenly thunder poured out from his body like a long river of thousands of soldiers and horses, bombarding the spirit fish that was closing in on him once again. Landslide. As the rolling heavenly thunder struck, a ferocious divine ape shadow appeared on the spirit fish's petite body. It boosted the strength of the spirit fish and blasted out a punch that could shatter mountains and rivers. Boom! The long river of heavenly thunder was shattered by the landslide punch. The terrifying force of the landslide punch landed on the burly man's body, shattering his heaven-grade battle armor completely. He was sent flying a few hundred meters away, smashing through the fence and falling into the turbulent sea. No one knew if he was dead or alive. What are you waiting for? Attack together and capture the 2 of them. I want their lives. The white-robed man, whose face was extremely gloomy, ordered loudly. The muscles at the corner of his eyes twitched violently. Spirit fish, be careful. Yi Chunfeng gave the pseudo-Dao treasure, Wolf's Fang, that he won from Yu Jili to the spirit fish. He then took out the middle-grade Dao artifact, Emperor Heaven's Sword, and charged toward the experts from the Kirin Kingdom. Roar! When the 3 experts from the Kirin Kingdom surrounded Yi Chunfeng in a triangular formation, a high-pitched dragon roar was released from Yi Chunfeng's body. The terrifying double-headed blood dragon king flew out of Yi Chunfeng's body and released an endless dragon's aura. It directly sent one of the experts from the Kirin Kingdom flying. Double-headed blood dragon. Looking at Yi Qinfeng's spiritual beast, the white-robed man was surprised. Immediately after, intense battle intent shot out from his deep eyes. Sky demon chains. A large number of black ghost chains broke out of Yi Qinfeng's body. They were like two dancing black snakes, entangling two experts from the Kirin kingdom and binding them. Following that, Yi Qinfeng quickly stabbed the Emperor Heaven's sword. The unstoppable sword radiance directly pierced through the heads of the two level 1 combat beast emperors from the Kirin kingdom, killing them on the spot. Demonic arts. You are from the Yamata kingdom. Looking at the two sky demon chains condensed by Yi Qinfeng, the white-robed man, whose aura was getting stronger, said eerily. Yamata kingdom. Yi Qinfeng's heart skipped a beat. From the white-robed man's words, he obtained an important piece of information, which also confirmed some of his earlier guesses. At this moment, the spirit fish was engaged in an intense battle with the experts from the Kirin kingdom. Terrifying Dao skills surged like a tide and instantly drowned her. Transform, divine ape body. A deafening roar rang out. At the critical moment, the spirit fish burned the power of its bloodline and transformed into the body of the golden-eyed divine ape. Her petite body continued to grow as waves of violent energy erupted from her body. In the blink of an eye, the spiritual fish transformed into a golden-eyed ape that was more than 5 meters tall. Its entire body was covered with thick golden hair, and it was as strong as a mountain. It tore apart the Taoist skill launched by the 6 experts of the Kirin divine nation. What? Divine beast body? As the third prince of the Kirin kingdom, the white-robed man had extraordinary knowledge. When he saw the spirit fish's transformation, he revealed a trace of astonishment. Double-headed blood dragon king fuse. While the white-robed man was distracted, Yi Qinfeng summoned back the double-headed blood dragon king. When he fused with the double-headed blood dragon king, his strength increased steadily. He instantly surpassed the limit of the reverse beast king and reached the level of a level 2 combat beast emperor. He held the emperor's celestial sword and stabbed towards the white-robed man. When Yi Qinfeng stabbed over, the white-robed man immediately reacted. A heavy sword that was covered in fire patterns and weighed over 5,000 kilograms appeared in his hand. He welcomed Yi Qinfeng's attack. When the heavy sword with fire patterns clashed with the tip of the Emperor's celestial sword, the two of them erupted with powerful energy at the same time. The intense repulsion caused powerful energy halos to surge. Middle-grade Dao artifact. When the white-robed man felt the murderous aura from the Emperor's celestial sword, he revealed a look of astonishment. This was because, even as the third prince of the Kirin kingdom, he did not have a middle-grade Dao artifact. This made him guess that Yi Qinfeng's identity was not simple. The white-robed man was astonished that Yi Qinfeng had the Emperor's celestial sword. Yi Qinfeng was also astonished by the white-robed man's powerful physical strength. In terms of physical strength, Yi Qinfeng felt that the white-robed man's strength was not weaker than his. The Prince of the Kingdom of God is indeed extraordinary. Yi Qinfeng felt that the white-robed man was harder to deal with than he had imagined. He decisively ignited his dragon bloodline and transformed into his beast soul form. I didn't expect you to have so many tricks up your sleeve. However, no matter how powerful you are, you can't change your fate of being killed. Accept your death obediently. When the white-robed man saw that Yi Qinfeng had transformed into his beast soul form, he ignited his bloodline power and transformed into his beast soul form. He wielded the heavy sword with fire patterns and engaged in an intense battle with Yi Qinfeng on the speedily cruising ship. P.S. If you want to see Shui Hanyan, please come to the official WeChat account, YLTY83. Posted on Friday night. Mobile reading website, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open your bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 721. 22469245. Yi Chenfeng and the white-robed man fought fiercely for half an hour. The terrible Wei meaning filled the air and shook the sky. Unable to suppress the white-robed man for a long time, Yi Chenfeng summoned the rosefinch cauldron with his mind. Soul of rosefinch, suppress. Yi Chenfeng quickly spat out several blood arrows, which merged into the rosefinch cauldron and awakened the soul of rosefinch cauldron. He maximized the power of the rosefinch cauldron and suppressed the white-robed man. Well, a Taoist treasure with an implement spirit. Looking at the soul of rosefinch cauldron that vaguely appeared and hearing the birds chirp, the white-robed man was surprised again. As a prince of the divine kingdom, he knew very well how rare and precious a Taoist treasure with an implement spirit was. Even he, the 8th prince of the Kirin kingdom, did not have such a treasure. It seems that your status in the octave divine kingdom is not low. This is better. I will kill you and take away your treasure. I think the people of the octave divine kingdom will go crazy when they know. The white-robed man revealed a cruel smile. With a move of his mind, a square seal with a green ox sitting on it, filled with powerful will of the Wei, appeared on his body and collided with the vermilion bird cauldron. Boom! The two Taoist treasures collided with each other like the collision of planets in the universe, producing a power that could destroy heaven and earth. The terrible power filled the void and cracked the entire space. The high-speed cruiser trembled violently under the collision of the two Taoist treasures. A large number of cracks appeared on the deck, and the entire hull was severely damaged. I also have the same idea. Yi Chenfeng showed a wild smile and said, "And I think the person who will die will be you." Arrogant! The white-robed man roared. He controlled the attack of the green ox square seal with his mind, while controlling 60 fire Taoist patterns to spurt out of his body. They formed a boundless fire wave behind him, burning the air and making sizzling sounds. Whether I am arrogant or not, you will know soon enough. Yi Chenfeng sneered. 7 killing halos appeared behind him, releasing endless killing power that made people tremble in fear. Fire Wei Hand. The 60 Tao patterns of fire behind the white-robed man instantly condensed, forming a huge flaming hand that covered the sky and the sun. It burned everything and headed straight for Yi Chenfeng with the force of Mount Tai. Sword Wei meaning break. Yi Chenfeng's pupils instantly turned into the most dangerous pinhole shape. 60 sword Tao patterns gushed out of his body, forming a sword of Tao will. It slashed through the heavens and tore apart the giant hand of fire Tao with one strike. Whoosh! An ear-piercing sound rang out. The instant Yi Chenfeng broke through the huge hand of fire, the white-clothed man's figure flashed and appeared in front of Yi Chenfeng. He waved the fire rune heavy sword in his hand, creating endless waves of fire that enveloped Yi Chenfeng. Emperor Heaven's Sword Art! Emperor Heaven's Sword! As the white-robed man approached, Yi Chenfeng immediately reacted. He channeled his Wei meaning, killing power, and rolling power into the Emperor Heaven's Sword. He continuously slashed out sword chi that was filled with the power of the Emperor Tao. He tore apart the flaming waves and fought with the white-robed man at close range. Under the control of their wills, the two Taoist treasures collided fiercely in the void, causing the entire void to be filled with crack. This is the Emperor Heaven's Sword Art. Are you not from the 8 divergent divine nation? Are you from the 9 heavens divine nation? After being continuously attacked by the Emperor Heaven's Sword, the white-robed man opened his eyes wide. He recognized the origin of this move and revealed an expression as though he had seen a ghost. Artifact Spirit, your old master is from the 9 heavens divine nation? Hearing the white-robed man's exclamation, Yi Chenfeng's heart skipped a beat. He quickly asked the artifact spirit, My old master is the 3rd deity sovereign of the 9 heavens divine nation. The artifact spirit replied honestly, Who exactly are you? With regards to Yi Chenfeng's identity, the white-robed man became even more suspicious as he questioned loudly. You are a person who is about to die. There is no need for you to know who I am. 7 Swords of Judgment, Sky Shattering. As he spoke, Yi Chunfeng slashed out the sky-shattering sword light at close range. It carried with it a boundless destructive power. It was like a black crack that tore through space as it slashed towards the white-robed man's body. When the white-robed man relied on his absolute strength to break the sky-shattering sword with the fire-rune heavy sword in his hand, Yi Chunfeng consecutively slashed out the Sword of Destruction and Sword of Judgment to suppress his attack. The sword light that swept across the heavens and earth forcefully pushed the white-robed man back. The blood in his body was tumbling violently. Tao meaning of Earth, Earth's rampage. The white-clothed man took a deep breath, and a powerful earth concept emanated from his body. He slashed down with the fire-patterned heavy sword in his hand, and the entire space shook violently. It was as if a mountain was collapsing and the earth was cracking as it crashed towards Yi Chunfeng. Tao meaning of Earth. Yi Chunfeng had once experienced the terror of the Tao meaning of Earth from Yu Zhongtian. The white-robed man's comprehension of the Tao meaning of Earth far surpassed Yu Zhongtian's. However, above the vast sea, the Tao meaning of Earth was unable to continuously plunder the power of the Earth. This greatly affected the offensive power of the Tao meaning of Earth. Merciless heavenly Tao. As the Halran Gaia slashed down, 7 Tao symbols of heaven appeared on Yi Chunfeng's body. They transformed into a terrifying heavenly might that blasted forward and detonated the Halran Gaia. Relying on the dragon scales and his body that was comparable to a supreme-grade heaven artifact, Yi Chunfeng endured the impact of the destructive power. He sped up and approached Yu Zhongtian, continuing to attack him. Sky Demon Chains. When the two of them were in the midst of the destructive storm and fiercely fighting, 3 black ghost chains broke out of Yi Chunfeng's body. They were like 3 black dragons that coiled around the white-robed man's body. Royal Academy of Languages. Caught off guard, the white-robed man's body was bound by the sky demon chains. His mobility was greatly affected. Scarlet Thunder Pearl explode. With a thought, the Scarlet Thunder Pearl flew out of Yi Chunfeng's body and shot towards the white-robed man. A large amount of thunder of death gushed out from the Scarlet Thunder Pearl. It was like a huge devouring mouth that devoured the white-robed man and crazily destroyed his body. Ah! The white-robed man who was attacked by the thunder of death roared. Boundless power erupted from his body and forcibly tore apart the sky demon chains. He held the fire-patterned heavy sword and slashed towards the Scarlet Thunder Pearl. Ruthless Heavenly Tao. Profound Underworld Extreme Tao. When the Scarlet Thunder Pearl was sent flying by the white-robed man's sword, Yi Chunfeng struck out the Ruthless Heavenly Tao with his left hand and the Profound Underworld Extreme Tao with his right hand. They continuously bombarded the white-robed man's body and directly sent him flying. The terrifying power deformed the supreme-grade heaven artifact battle armor on his body. A large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth. 8th Prince. Seeing that the white-robed man was injured, the warriors of the Kirin kingdom who were fighting with the spiritual fish tensed up and wanted to divert their attention to rescue him. If anything happened to the white-robed man, they would not be able to absolve themselves from the blame. When they returned to the Kirin kingdom, they would be severely punished by the kingdom of God. Landslide. While the 4 warriors of the Kirin kingdom were distracted, the spiritual fish in the form of a godly ape released a mountain-crushing power and bombarded the 4 of them, not giving them a chance to rescue the white-robed man. Brat, you dare to injure me? You are dead meat. The white-robed man quickly wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and performed the number 1 inherited martial art of the Kirin kingdom. It was also his biggest trump card. Kirin body, 3 heads and 6 arms. In an instant, the Kirin blood flowing in his body was completely ignited. He transformed again in his beast soul form. His tall and straight body became extremely strong, and his whole body was covered with thick Kirin scales. 2 ferocious Kirin heads and 4 Kirin arms that were like pillars supporting the heavens broke out of his body. When his strength reached the limit of a level 4 beast emperor, he transformed into an extremely terrifying 3 heads and 6 arms form. The sudden increase in strength brought a great threat to Yi Chenfeng. Mobile reading site, book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record this book. You will be able to read it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 722. 22469246, 3 heads and 6 arms. The foundation of a grade 9 divine nation is indeed unimaginable. Seeing the white-robed man transform into a Qilin with 3 heads and 6 arms, Yi Chenfeng opened his eyes wide and revealed a tinge of astonishment. "Lad, go and die!" Chasing the clouds and moon. The white-robed man with 3 heads and 6 arms roared and turned his body slightly. Numerous Tao intents broke out of his body and condensed into a demonic moon. The moon stirred up the changes in the void and blasted towards Yi Chenfeng. Seeing that the void before him was being torn apart by this attack, Yi Chenfeng immediately burned the Emperor Sky Sword's weapon spirit and increased the attacking power of the Emperor Sky Sword to the greatest extent. He slashed out an inverted Milky Way and slashed towards chasing the clouds and moon with a sword that had the will to rule the world. Gotcha! As the 2 Tao techniques clashed, the void in front of Yi Chenfeng immediately cracked. The powerful Tao intents caused a huge void to appear in the void and shatter it. Real Qilin Seal. While Yi Chenfeng borrowed the power of the Emperor Sky Sword's spirit and forcefully withstood the powerful attack of the chasing the clouds and moon, the white-robed man's 6 pillar-like arms formed seals at the same time and condensed a blood-red palm print that contained a terrifying Tao intent. It was like a lifelike fire Qilin and pounced towards Yi Chenfeng with divine prowess. When Yi Chenfeng held the Emperor Sky Sword tightly with both hands and slashed at the real Qilin seal with all his might, a terrifying destructive Tao intent exploded from the Qilin seal and blasted Yi Chenfeng's body at close range, sending him flying. Large patches of blood dragon scales were shattered, and fresh blood gushed out and dyed his entire body red. "Lad, it's over. After I capture you, I'll use 100 ways to make you tell me where you came from." Looking at Yi Chenfeng, who was severely injured and lying on the ground, the white-robed man revealed a trace of malevolence. He wanted to severely injure Yi Chenfeng in one go and force him to reveal his secret. Isn't it too early to talk about victory and defeat? Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath and quickly crawled up from the ground. He ignited his divine devil bloodline and continued to expand, transforming into the strongest divine devil body. A power that could shock the heaven and earth leaked out from his body. Second transformation. You actually have the ability to transform twice. Seeing Yi Chenfeng transform into a fiend god, the white-robed man's eyes widened in disbelief. It was as if he had seen a ghost. "Let's end this once and for all." Yi Chenfeng took in a deep breath as he wielded the Emperor's celestial sword, which had its artifact spirit burning, and attacked the man in white with all his might. As for the ferocious vermilion bird cauldron, its strength had increased due to Yi Chenfeng transforming into his fiend god form. It completely suppressed the Tao treasure green ox seal summoned by the white-robed man. "I don't believe I can't kill you. Crazy character." The white-robed man roared as 5 priceless pseudo-Tao artifacts appeared in his 6 hands. Together with the fire rune heavy sword, he interweaved a dense sword wind and attacked Yi Chenfeng fiercely. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged hundreds of moves. The terrifying attacks continued to destroy the ship and destroy the space. How is this possible? What form is this? When the white-robed man transformed into his 3-headed and 6-armed form, his explosive attacks could definitely surpass that of a Class 4 combat beast emperor. However, when fighting with Yi Chenfeng, he was unable to injure him severely. Yi Chunfeng's continuous bursts of strength that was equivalent to 40 million kilograms of force, and the surging killing force had worsened the white-robed man's injuries and restrained his attack. This made the white-robed man unable to accept this fact. Just as the white-robed man was getting more and more irritable, Yi Chunfeng was multitasking. The Scarlet Thunder Pearl and the pseudo-Dao artifact Black Devil Scissors that he obtained from killing the seductive woman broke out from his body and attacked the white-robed man from both sides. Caught off guard, the white-robed man's body was hit by the two pseudo-Dao artifacts. The high-grade heaven-grade battle armor that he was wearing was completely destroyed, and large amounts of blood flowed out uncontrollably. Damn it, this guy is really only a Class 6 Reverse Beast King. Why is his soul spirit so powerful? The white-robed man could not believe that in such an intense battle, Yi Chunfeng was actually able to control the soul of the three great treasures to attack at the same time. He was already feeling pressured just by controlling the green ox seal to resist the vermilion bird cauldron. Wrath of divine punishment. The two of them fought intensely for the time it took for a stick of incense to burn. When both of them were injured, Yi Chunfeng seized the opportunity. The three heavenly spirits suddenly flew out of his body and condensed into a three-colored ray of light. They bombarded the white-clothed man's body at close range. Boom! When the wrath of divine punishment hit the white-robed man, it exploded. The terrifying explosive force engulfed him directly and shattered his supreme-grade heaven-grade battle armor that was full of sword marks. Then, three sky demon demonic ropes broke out of Yi Chunfeng's body and bound him like a long snake, tightly binding his body. 7 Swords of Judgment. Emperor Heavenly Sword Technique. Yi Chunfeng did not give him any chance to catch his breath. He executed 2 supreme sword techniques consecutively and attacked his body ferociously. The attacks worsened his injuries and sent him flying out of the shattered ship. A large amount of blood splattered in midair. 8th Prince. When the 4 injured experts of the Kirin Kingdom saw that the white-robed man was severely injured again, they gave up on attacking the bloodied and heavily injured spiritual fish. They attacked Yi Chunfeng with all their might. Scarlet Thunder Pearl, Death Net. When the 4 of them got close, Yi Chunfeng decisively controlled the Scarlet Thunder Pearl to release a powerful death thunder. It formed a huge net of thunder and lightning blocking them. When the 4 of them worked together to tear apart the death net, the spirit fish, whose eyes were bloodshot and whose body was emitting a violent energy, attacked them. Its fist, which contained a force of 35 million jin, landed heavily on a level 2 combat beast emperor. Legend of the Great Desert. The terrifying power directly pierced through his body and crushed his heart, killing him on the spot. After killing one of them with the help of the Scarlet Thunder Pearl, the spiritual fish's pressure was greatly reduced. She continuously executed her legacy martial arts to suppress the 3 experts of the Kirin Kingdom, not giving them a chance to attack Yi Chunfeng. Brat, I will remember you. The next time we meet, I will definitely chop off your dog head. With his body heavily injured and his subordinates heavily injured, the white-robed man wanted to retreat. He left behind a ruthless sentence and was about to escape. Do you think I will give you a chance to leave? Yi Chunfeng snorted coldly. He ignited his golden rock bloodline and instantly exploded with shocking speed, intercepting the white-robed man. Following which, Yi Chunfeng executed a trump card that he had never used before. He summoned the Chaos Divine Wood that was parasitic in his heart. It had already grown into the shape of a small tree and had begun to possess offensive power. He continuously injected Tao intent and soul power into the Chaos Divine Wood, controlling it to attack the white-robed man. What kind of Tao artifact is this? The moment the Chaos Divine Wood appeared, the white-robed man smelled the strong threat of death. Without hesitation, he took out a palm-sized jade pendant that looked like a white jade and blocked in front of him. This jade pendant was his greatest protective amulet. It could save his life in a crisis. Boom! The Chaos Divine Wood that had absorbed almost 2/3 of Yi Chunfeng's soul power and fused with several Dao intents hit the Jade Pendant. The Jade Pendant that was strong enough to withstand the attack of a level 6 combat beast emperor was hit by the Chaos Divine Wood. A large number of cracks instantly appeared on the Jade Pendant. The terrifying chaos force continuously bombarded the white-robed man's body through the cracks of the Jade Pendant. His body was badly mutilated. "Brat, don't you dare hurt the 8th prince." The moment the white-robed man's life-saving Jade Pendant was cracked by the Chaos Divine Wood, the gray-robed old man who was completely suppressed by the sword puppet immediately sensed it. He ignored the injuries on his body and used blood escape without hesitation. He escaped from the sword puppet's attack and attacked Yi Chunfeng with all his strength. Sky Demon Ropes. Before the gray-robed old man could save him, Yi Chunfeng formed 2 ghost ropes decisively and bound the white-robed man's severely injured body. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng's entire body fused with the Emperor's Sky Sword. He ignited the Emperor's Sky Sword spirit and turned into the Sword of Judgment. He slashed towards the white-robed man's right arm that was wearing the Qian Kuan ring. TSK. The white-robed man, who was severely injured, was slashed by the Sword of Judgment. His right arm that was dripping with blood was chopped off. He was in so much pain that he cried out in agony. When Yi Chunfeng kept his right arm and the dark gold Qian Kuan ring into the cosmos mirror, the enraged gray-robed old man flew over and slashed towards Yi Chunfeng with a white staff shadow. The staff hit Yi Chunfeng, who was controlling the Chaos Divine Wood to defend with all his might, into the blue sea. "Let's go." Looking at the sword puppet that was chasing after him, the gray-robed old man had no time to check if Yi Chunfeng was dead or alive. He swept the white-robed man who had lost his right arm, the Dao Treasure Green Ox Seal, and the 3 Kirin Kingdom experts who were riddled with injuries into a bloody light and flew away rapidly. Female students, male teacher, mobile reading website, book address. In order to make it easier for you to read it next time, you can click on the bookmark button at the bottom to record your reading history. You will be able to see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 723. 2246936. After an unknown amount of time, Yi Chunfeng, whose body was covered in blood and whose bones were severely damaged, emerged from the surface of the rippling sea as he panted heavily. His body was covered in blood and his bones were severely damaged. After this battle, Yi Chunfeng had used almost all of his trump cards before he finally cut off the right arm of the white-robed man and obtained the dark gold universe ring that contained the auction treasures. 3 heads, 6 arms, Scandinavia's foundation is indeed terrifying. Thinking of the white-robed man's 3 heads, 6 arms divine ability, Yi Chunfeng showed a strong interest. If he could master it, his attack power would increase by a level. Sword puppet, spirit fish, let's go and find an isolated island to heal. After the battle with the white-clothed man, Yi Chunfeng was severely injured. He did not stay for long. Under the protection of the sword spirit puppet, he quickly flew away with the spirit fish. He found a relatively remote island and hid in the forest of the island to recuperate. While Yi Chunfeng was healing, the East Sea Palace experts who had failed to encircle Yi Chunfeng became irritable. Elder 6, do you think that kid has already left with Shui Hanyan's help? After waiting for Yi Chunfeng for so long, a furious East Sea Palace expert doubted. Damn it, it should be that damn girl's doing. Thinking of Shui Hanyan, Elder High 6 gritted his teeth in hatred. However, Shui Hanyan's strength was too strong, and the overall strength of Immortal Island was unfathomable, so Elder High 6 did not dare to offend her. Helpless, he could only suppress the anger in his heart and lead the East Sea Palace experts out of the resplendent auction hall. They came to the harbor of Immortal Island and hid there, continuing to wait for Yi Chunfeng. Not only were the people from the East Sea Palace looking for Yi Chunfeng, Zhen Mimi was also looking for him. However, Yi Chunfeng had already left the city. No matter how Zhen Mimi searched the entire Drunken Dream City, she could not find any trace of Yi Chunfeng. This made her very angry. After 3 days of recuperation, Yi Chunfeng and the spirit fish first healed their injuries and woke up. After recovering his body's heavy injuries and exhausted soul power, Yi Chunfeng took out the white-clothed man's bloody right arm from the universe mirror and removed the dark gold universe ring on his middle finger. God-Eater Brain, break! With a thought, Yi Chunfeng sent the power of the God-Eater Brain into the yin-yang ring, forcibly breaking the powerful seal and seeping inside. As expected, the blood-red jade slip and the quasi-Dao treasure, Frostwater Pearl, are inside. Looking at the blood-red jade slip and Frostwater Pearl in the yin-yang ring, Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile. In addition to these 2 supreme treasures, Yi Chunfeng also found 100 million high-grade soul crystals, 10 million top-grade soul crystals, 2 great Dao cores, 13 pseudo-Dao cores, a saber and a spear, a top-grade celestial armor refined from the feathers of a sparrow, 5 top-grade celestial artifacts, and more than 100 stalks of top-grade heaven-rank spiritual herbs. As expected of the Prince of Divine Nation, his background is indeed terrifying. Just these 2 great Dao pills are invaluable. The male teacher of a female student. Yi Chunfeng looked at the densely packed treasures in front of him and revealed a satisfied smile. However, among these treasures, there was not a single sky crystal, the 3 heads 6 arms cultivation chant, or the inheritance of the Kirin kingdom. This made Yi Chunfeng somewhat disappointed. It was enough to show that the sky crystal was extremely precious and rare in Divine Nation. This is the map of the life forbidden zone hidden at the bottom of the sea. In the end, Yi Chunfeng found a jade box sealed with a large number of seals in the white-robed man's yin-yang ring. After opening it, he found a map of the life forbidden zone. Although this map did not have a clear indication, a place that could be called a life forbidden zone was definitely not a small place. After Yi Chunfeng memorized the route on the map, he kept it in the yin-yang mirror. Ling Yu, these heaven-rank spiritual herbs are for you. Cultivate well and strive to break through to level 1 combat Beast Emperor. Yi Chunfeng gave the heavenly spirit blood fruit and more than 50 precious heaven-rank spiritual herbs to the Ling Yu and teleported her into the yin-yang mirror. Other than the secret sword steps, what else is hidden in this jade slip? Filled with curiosity, Yi Chunfeng released his soul power into the blood-red jade slip to check its actual situation. A drop of blood. There is a drop of demonic blood in this jade slip. Yi Chunfeng was surprised to find that above the sword steps, there was a drop of blood that was as black as ink and sealed with a large number of runes. Could this be a drop of demonic blood? Feeling the powerful demonic energy contained in the black blood, Yi Chunfeng guessed that it was most likely a drop of demonic blood. It seems like the power behind the immortal island should be the Octahead Kingdom. Thinking about the information revealed by the white-robed man in rage, Yi Chunfeng guessed that the immortal island was most likely related to the Octahead Kingdom. The Octahead Kingdom and the Yu family were both demonic cultivators. But why would they leave such a precious drop of demonic blood in this jade slip? Yi Chunfeng muttered to himself. He felt that there was something wrong with this drop of demonic blood. However, he had the Chaos Divine Wood and the God-Eater Brain. He was not afraid that there was something wrong with this drop of demonic blood. With a thought, Yi Chunfeng took out this precious drop of demonic blood from the blood-red jade slip. He removed the seal on the blood, opened his mouth, and swallowed it directly into his stomach. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The moment the demonic blood entered Yi Chunfeng's body, it immediately released a boundless amount of energy. Just as Yi Chunfeng was trying to fuse the demonic blood into his god-devil bloodline and raise its grade, a powerful soul force awakened in the demonic blood. It rushed into Yi Chunfeng's soul like the wailing of ghosts and gods. Sure enough, there is something wrong with this demonic blood. Yi Chunfeng did not panic when he was suddenly attacked by a mysterious soul attack. The God-Eater brain appeared in his sea of soul under his control, guarding his soul and devouring the mysterious soul. No, what is this? Attacked by the devouring vortex formed by the God-Eater brain, the mysterious soul fell into panic. Just as he was about to self-destruct, the terrifying devouring vortex completely shredded his soul and devoured it. Record of Chaotic World 1. When the God-Eater brain devoured the mysterious soul hidden in the demonic blood, Shui Hanyan, who was far away on the immortal island, immediately sensed it. The charming smile on her face instantly froze. How is this possible? The soul in the demonic blood has disappeared. Who is this person that is so powerful to be able to break our secret plan so easily? Shui Hanyan's eyes widened as she muttered to herself in shock. She did not believe that a rank 3 beast emperor could break the terrifying soul hidden in the demonic blood. She suspected that there was an expert helping them. Their plan might have changed. Demonic blood fuse. After the God-Eater brain devoured the mysterious energy, it further accelerated its transformation. Yi Chunfeng continued to fuse the demonic blood with his divine demon bloodline, improving the grade of his divine demon bloodline. The drop of demonic blood in the blood-colored jade strip was extremely pure. When it completely fused with the divine demon bloodline, just as Yi Chunfeng had guessed, the grade of his divine demon bloodline had increased. However, the divine demon bloodline was one of the most powerful bloodlines in the universe, far surpassing the dragon bloodline. Every time it increased by 1 rank, it would require a huge amount of energy. Therefore, after fusing with this drop of demonic blood, his divine demon bloodline had increased from grade 2 to grade 2. 5. Once it was ignited, Yi Chunfeng's defense was not only infinitely close to a true Dao artifact, his strength had also increased by 2.5 times, surpassing 50 million jin. After refining the demonic blood, his divine demon bloodline had increased slightly. Yi Chunfeng then took out the golden rock's blood he had obtained from the auction and swallowed it to refine, increasing the grade of his golden rock bloodline. When Yi Chunfeng spent half a day refining the golden rock's blood, the grade of his golden rock bloodline had increased from grade 2 to grade 3, greatly increasing his flying speed. Sword steps, I hope this secret technique will not disappoint me. With the advancement of 2 bloodlines, his strength had increased. Yi Chunfeng controlled the God-Eater brain and started to comprehend the secret technique left behind by the immortal island. Initiation, minutes, subtlety, mastery, perfection, perfection. Yi Chunfeng quickly browsed through the secret technique of the sword steps and learned that to cultivate the sword steps, one must have a deep understanding of the sword Dao intent. There were 5 stages to the sword steps, and each stage increased the speed and the power of the sword Dao intent to a certain extent. When cultivated to the perfection stage, one step would allow one to cross hundreds of miles. Wherever one went, not a single blade of grass would grow. Even space would be torn apart by the sword Dao intent released from the sword step. This sword step suits me very well. Yi Chunfeng walked the path of the sword, and this sword steps was completely tailored for him. He tried his best to get rid of all distracting thoughts and controlled the God-Eater brain to quickly deduce and comprehend the secret technique, the sword step. At this time, the various major forces that had come to participate in the Immortal Island's auction left the island one after another. The Immortal Island, which had been extremely noisy a few days ago, gradually became quiet. However, the people of the East Sea Palace did not give up. They were still waiting patiently at the Immortal Island's harbor, looking like they would not give up until they saw Yi Chunfeng. Visit Gathering Cloud Pavilion or visit the website directly. Mobile reading website, book address. For the convenience of your next reading, you can click on the Save button at the bottom to record this reading record. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support. Chapter 724. Sixth Elder, it's been 12 days and he still hasn't shown up. I think he must have mixed in with the crowd and left long ago. Let's leave this place and rush back to the East Sea Palace to report what happened here to the Palace Lord. #Yen. An expert from the East Sea Palace, who was wearing an aqua blue martial arts suit and had slightly gray hair, came to the gloomy Sixth Elder and suggested in a low voice, "Let's wait for 3 more days. If he doesn't show up in 3 days, we'll leave this place." Thinking of the loss of the 3 absolutes of water prohibition, Sixth Elder felt a headache coming on. If this matter was not handled well, it would cause immeasurable damage and impact to the East Sea Palace. Sigh, all right then. Looking at the gloomy Sixth Elder whose forehead was bulging with blue veins, the 7 experts from the East Sea Palace sighed softly and continued to lie in ambush at the port of Immortal Island, patiently waiting for Yi Chunfeng to appear. After about a day or so, just when Sixth Elder was about to give up, a white figure streaked across the horizon and flew over at an extremely fast speed. "It's him, he's back." Looking at the white figure flying closer and closer, Sixth Elder and the others who were lying in ambush at the port immediately recognized that it was Yi Chunfeng who they had been waiting for nearly half a month. At this time, they didn't even consider why Yi Chunfeng had returned. They only wanted to capture Yi Chunfeng and use the most vicious means to torture him and extract the big secret from him. Yes, they're from the East Sea Palace. How powerful was Yi Chunfeng's soul? When he approached the port of Immortal Island, he could feel that Sixth Elder and the others were lying in ambush around the port. "Interesting, I didn't expect you to be so patient and wait for me for nearly half a month. In that case, I'll give you a gift and let you see the power of the sword step." After more than 10 days of cultivation, Yi Chunfeng had cultivated the sword steps to the beginner level and couldn't wait to see the power of this secret divine ability. "Brat, you've got guts. You dare to come back after leaving?" Yi Chunfeng had just flown back to the harbor of the Immortal Island when the furious Elder Hai Lu and the others immediately rushed out and surrounded him. "Why would I not dare to come back?" Yi Chunfeng snorted and looked coldly at Elder Hai Lu and the others as he said disdainfully, "You think you can threaten me with just your strength? You are courting death." Elder Hai Lu was completely enraged by Yi Chunfeng's disdainful gaze. He let out a furious roar, and an aqua-blue phantom of a sea beast appeared on his body. He used a powerful Dao skill to attack Yi Chunfeng. Berserk Sea Raging Clouds. Surging soul energy and Dao will gushed out of the Sixth Elder's body like a raging sea, carrying an astonishing might as it swept towards Yi Chunfeng. Sword steps. Yi Chunfeng took a step forward and 60 sword Dao patterns appeared under his feet, forming a strange Dao formation. It was overflowing with sharp killing intent, and it directly shattered the raging sea and raging sky that were charging towards him. Then, Yi Chunfeng took a second step, carrying a sword pattern Dao array with astonishing destructive power, and attacked Elder Hai Lu, whose expression changed slightly. Great Sun Skyfire Fist. When Elder Hai Lu relied on his absolute strength to resist the terrifying sword steps attack, the death blaze gathered in Yi Chunfeng's right fist, like a red scorching sun, and fiercely bombarded Elder Hai Lu's chest, sending him flying. Witnessing Elder Hai Lu, who was a 3rd-level beast emperor, being sent flying by Yi Chunfeng's punch in the blink of an eye, the 7 East Sea Palace experts were all dumbfounded. "What are you all standing there for? Hurry up and kill him!" Elder Hai Lu forcibly suppressed the surging qi and blood in his body and shouted at the 7 East Sea Palace elders. Buzz buzz buzz! The East Sea Palace experts who came back to their senses took out their respective heavenly treasures, shining with dazzling light, and besieged Yi Chunfeng. Vermilion Bird Cauldron, break! Yi Chunfeng moved his mind, and the Vermilion Bird Cauldron broke out of his body, carrying a suffocating force, and collided with the 3 heavenly treasures. A few days ago, the Vermilion Bird Cauldron had completely refined the 2 fragments of the heavenly treasures, and its power was even stronger than before. The scorching impact that could burn everything directly sent the three heavenly treasures flying. In the next moment, Yi Chunfeng took the sword steps and appeared in front of the three East Sea Palace experts in a flash. Before they could react, 60 sword Dao patterns flew out from the soles of his feet and shot towards their bodies like thousands of swords. Although the three East Sea Palace experts were already prepared and defended with all their might, they were only half-step beast emperors, and could not resist the power of the sword steps. The dense sword Dao patterns directly pierced through their heavenly treasures, penetrated their bodies, and crushed their vitality. After killing the three half-step beast emperors in a single step, Yi Chunfeng's body flashed slightly, dodging the attack of the four heavenly treasures, and quickly approached the four East Sea Palace experts, who were shocked. Dodge! Elder Hai Lu did not expect that Yi Chunfeng, who was only a level 6 defiant beast king, would have such shocking attack power, instantly killing the three half-step beast emperors. His heart tightened and he quickly shouted, "Too late!" 3 sky demon devil ropes broke out of Yi Chunfeng's body, like 3 dancing black dragons, and sealed off all the escape routes of the three. Then, Yi Chunfeng appeared in front of the four in a flash, and continued to attack with the sword steps. Under the attack of the sword Dao patterns that increased the attack power, the four's defense continued to crumble, and in the end, their bodies were penetrated by the intertwined sword Dao patterns of the sword step. They fell to the ground in pain and died. "You! Who are you?" Looking at the 7 dead men lying in a pool of blood, the anger in Elder Hai Lu's heart was completely replaced by fear. He calmed down and asked in a serious tone, "Isn't it too late to ask who I am now?" Yi Chunfeng smiled slightly, and there was a hint of coldness in his voice. "Kid, don't be too proud. You're not far from death now that you've offended the East Sea Palace." As he met Yi Chunfeng's increasingly cold eyes, Elder Hai Lu became inexplicably nervous. Thoughts of retreating sprouted in his heart. He didn't dare to take the risk of killing Yi Chunfeng anymore. He wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. "Ha ha ha, is the East Sea Palace very strong?" Yi Chunfeng laughed and said arrogantly, "Back then, your palace lord and his wife couldn't do anything to me, and you want to scare me with just a few words? But one day, when I return to the Eastern continent, I will personally go to the East Sea Palace to seek justice." After that, Yi Chunfeng did not waste any more words. He controlled the Suzaku cauldron to descend from the sky, suppressing the frightened Elder Hai Lu, and launched a fierce attack. Beast Soul Form. The Suzaku cauldron's attack power was too terrifying. Even with Elder Hai Lu's strength as a level 3 Beast Emperor, he could not withstand it. Just as he transformed into his beast soul form and used the 2 celestial treasures to resist the Suzaku cauldron, the Scarlet Thunder Orb and the Chilled Water Orb broke out of Yi Chunfeng's body and attacked Elder Hai Lu from both sides. Chilled Water Orb? Why is this orb on you? Looking at the chilled water orb that was emitting endless cold air, Elder Hai Lu's eyes widened. He looked as if he had seen a ghost, and a bold idea appeared in his mind. He suddenly disappeared a few days ago. Could it be that he went to intercept those suspected experts from the Divine Nation? Thinking of this, Elder Hai Lu was even more terrified and regretful. He did not hesitate to use blood escape to escape. Just as Elder Hai Lu turned into a bloody light and tried to escape, Yi Chunfeng appeared in front of him in a flash. Dense sword-based Dao patterns flashed under his feet, sealing off all escape routes. Then, Yi Chunfeng condensed 3 sky demon chains and bound Elder Hai Lu, not giving him a chance to escape. It's over. When Elder Hai Lu was bound by the 3 heavenly demon chains, the vermilion bird cauldron fell from the sky like a scorching hot meteor and slammed into Elder Hai Lu's head. Bam! Elder Hai Lu's head exploded, and blood splattered all over the ground. His body fell limply into a pool of blood, twitched twice, and died. 30/30709 Mobile Reading Website. Book address. To make it easier for you to read this book next time, you can click Save at the bottom to record this book. You will see it the next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Thank you for your support.